Hey, what's up everybody? It's Lids, and we're back for some more Gwent Rogue Mage, the new Gwent single-player roguelike game, and last time we finished our first ever run on Master difficulty, and did so with a random deck, or a chaos deck I should say. And so that was a fun little experiment, and we had some questions as to whether, well, not necessarily sure how much more there is to do in the game. Yeah, we technically haven't finished the storyline of the game, but it felt like I had a lot of fun with that previous run, so why not give it another shot? Maybe doing something very similar here and going for another chaos run on Master difficulty, and if we continue with that much success, then we will get closer to progressing our story a little bit further, and we suspected that maybe the next round of mutagens, once we finish that might even be the end of the game. Still not sure about that, but definitely let me know how much more Rogue Mage you guys are interested in seeing, because we've checked just about everything off our bucket list of things we wanted to do. And at this point, it's just, I guess I had fun last time, still having fun with our runs here, so why not at least go a little bit further. What's up, Anor? How are you? So last time, obviously we did a chaos run, so that means random key card, and it means random starting cards from our deck as well. On one hand, it's potentially a little bit harder because you might have a bunch of cards that do not synergize with one another. On the other hand, you're getting a bunch of cards that would not normally be in a starting deck, and it seems like, on average, your cards are stronger than what you would normally have in a starting deck, so less synergies, or at least more awkward how the cards interact with one another, but in a vacuum, they are a little bit stronger. So I think we probably do still stick with Cleanse, Portal, and Masterful Thunder, because this gives us a nice wide variety of options here, because who knows what direction we're going to want to go in. Are we going to be a boosting deck? Are we going to be a damage deck? And Portal just gives us a little bit of everything, potentially. This just gives us some flexibility. So I think we stick with this, and that way we just adapt to whatever we happen to find ourselves getting. And then I think similarly, we found that getting the energy, and in the past this has pretty much always been the case, having the energy is just so versatile, allows us to go in whichever direction we feel like we are most capable or most interested in doing otherwise. I mean, we did just unlock this new potion to give us an extra random treasure in our starting deck, but that seems like, maybe if we were to lower difficulty a bit and just mess around and see what we want to, like, I'm pretty sure there's actually an achievement for doing a run in which you get 5 treasures total, which we've probably not even come close to yet, but if you want to make a point of doing a run targeting that achievement, then obviously starting with this potion could be a good way to go, and then you have the treasures from just making it through the map, and also maybe a go after the elite battles, but instead of upgrading your key card, you go for the treasure instead. That's another thing we could consider. Last time, I don't think we did a single elite battle, and that was largely deliberate, just because we didn't have a lot of synergies with our key cards. So I think in general, with the chaos decks, it's going to mean, because there are less synergies, in particular with your key card, or at least that's likely to be the case, probably means we're less reliant on that and more reliant on our other cards. And I think that's an interesting dynamic there, because it just does fundamentally shift the way that you're going to try to craft your deck over the course of a run. So why don't we hop in here? Of course, we don't really know what we're going to get ourselves into. It might be that we get really lucky and have an amazing deck. It might be exactly the opposite, but we won't know until we start. As for the curses here, I think we are still trying to go through on Master difficulty, and obviously we succeeded last time, so if we keep what we did last time, then that wouldn't be the worst idea. But were there any things that caused us particular issues? I think maximum amount of stamina reduced by 25. Okay, there was that. Oh, there was this, and then there was the other one that makes it so we gain less energy outside of battle. And I think I had intended to do this, but accidentally did this instead. So out of curiosity, if we do that, oh wait, well, for what it's worth, we didn't even need to do this. We'd still be on Master difficulty without it. But okay, I guess it's good to know. Probably should have checked to see if there are any other things that we could do to make it so that we don't make this any more difficult than it has to be. Like, what if we trying to see if we can reduce the amount of armor we gave our enemies, because that was at times a little bit tricky, because we don't know if we're going to have a damage deck, then our opponents having armor is going to reduce our damage, which is tough. If we don't have a damage deck, then that's not a huge deal. but I think, you know, it's pretty likely we'll have at least some cards that are focused around dealing damage. What if we do that instead? No, that's still Adept. Okay. Alright, I guess we'll stick with the... where was it? The extra armor. Alright. Okay then, let's jump in. I suppose slightly easier with the curses than last time, because we didn't actually need that in our previous run. But fingers crossed here that our deck is not bad. We also, for what it's worth, did go against the Fiery Fiend last time. I think that is the easiest boss in most circumstances, whereas the Dragon, by some accounts, you could probably make the case is the hardest, but depends what kind of deck we have. All right. Moment of truth. Moment of truth. What did we get? Okay, it is Unseen Elder, so it's Bleed. And he has, Zeal, which or rather a Veil, which actually means he can't get statuses, which is a pretty important thing against the enemy we're about to go against. Oh my goodness. This is going to be an interesting run. Oh my god, wow. Oh, this run is going to be crazy. Okay, Unseen Elder, our key card. We'll see how much we're actually building around him. We have several cards that arguably could be key cards, including the one that I've talked about many times before. You probably already know which one I'm referring to, if you remember that discussion. But Tibor, 13 points, but it does summon a card out from our opponent's deck, so it's a point slam of sorts, but it's a little bit risky, because we don't know what our opponent is going to get. Primordial Dow, just a 9-point slam, which is not a terrible thing. Keltullus. This is the big one. I thought this should be a key card. I thought that there should be an entire archetype built around this card, because it is very powerful, but does very much require that you build your entire deck around it. At the end of your turn, destroy the lowest power unit on the side with the most units. So, that might sound simple. It's, in essence, well, I mean, I suppose, it's the key thing. The key thing is that means you always want your opponent to have more cards or more units than you do, so that at the end of your turn, every time Keltullus is destroying one of your opponent's cards, not one of your cards. So, that's one thing that we need to bear in mind. The other thing is that, well, when it comes to how you make that happen, in multiplayer Gwent, usually you would use special cards, you know, things that boost your cards or damage your opponent's cards, and don't play units. That way, you don't have that many units on your side of the board, and that way you can make sure that every turn Keltullus, or Kelly for short, is destroying one of your opponent's cards. But there are not nearly as many special cards in Rogue Mage, outside of our leader ability, but that's kind of a different thing, and outside of treasures, which obviously those are pretty hard to come by. So it's kind of like Villain Trettenmirth that we had in our previous run, where in the right situation can be absolutely amazing, in the wrong situation could completely destroy your deck. So this is going to be interesting. I would like to try to build around Keltullus if we can, and we could almost make Keltullus our key card, or try to at least, to find ways to make that happen, but we'll have to see what other things we have that may or may not synergize with her. Then Visiger does not synergize with any of those other cards. This is I mean, technically, yes, it is a damaging card, but it is a damaging card that gets powered up based on how much boosting we've done, which we've not seen any boosting cards yet. Oh, this is good, though. Osrel, so we can either consume 2 units from our opponent's graveyard or 2 units from our graveyard, which means if something gets destroyed, we can absorb the power of that card into Osrel. So, could be either way. Consuming something from our graveyard or opponent's graveyard, whichever one has bigger cards in it. Usually in multiplayer Gwents, where this card is basically the same ability, it's actually only consuming 1 card in multiplayer Gwent, whereas it's 2 here, so it is theoretically even stronger here, and it's already pretty strong in multiplayer Gwent. The thing is that in multiplayer Gwent, there are multiple rounds, and at the end of a round, all of your units go into your graveyard, whereas there are not multiple rounds in this game, so the only way a card is going... a unit is going into someone's graveyard is if it gets destroyed from damage, so that's a little bit harder to set that up, and we do want to make sure we have damage to make that happen, but hey, maybe Keltullus, maybe there's a bit of a synergy there, and also, if Tibor, Primordial Dow, or Keltullus does end up getting destroyed, then that's a high base power card that would be a great target for Osrel to consume. So, very, very interesting. Boat Builders we saw last time was pretty effective for us. Gave us some armor, which, I mean, may or may not be relevant depending on what your opponent is doing, but 7 base power, also decent base power. Malcolm Defender, if it is already boosted, it gets boosted by 1 at the end of our turn. We need more boost. I mean, I guess we could use our leader ability. So this is the only card we've seen thus far that can synergize with Visigurd. Then more armor. Spawn a Rowdy Dwarf in this row, and give an allied unit 1 armor every turn. Problem is, this is a unit itself, and it also spawns in another unit, so it's 2 units in 1 turn, which is the opposite of what we want to do for Keltullus. So, I mean, yes, it's similar to Boat Builders, and that it's another way to give ourselves armor, but Boat Builders is more synergistic with the Keltullus, or less anti-synergistic with Keltullus. Ballista, damage enemy unit by 1 on deploy, and then afterward damage enemy unit by 3 with the order ability, so that does add up to a decent amount. Then Nausicaa Sergeant, whenever you play a unit with the deploy ability, boosts self. So this is another boosting card. Do we have much of the way deploy abilities? We have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. 6. So that's not bad. We have some setup for that. At 7, actually, with Nekker, which is another boosting card. But it's another one that spawns a copy of itself. It spawns 2 units in 1 turn, which is, again, not synergistic with Keltullus. It's the opposite of what we want to do. Now, there are some enemies that are going to be using leader abilities or other cards that can spawn multiple units per turn, so we might still be able to make Keltullus work, but this is, at least at first glance, not necessarily the most Keltullus-friendly deck. And then we have the Curse, which was one of the things that we added to increase the difficulty to get us up to this difficulty level. But okay, this is a very, very interesting deck, so I am intrigued to see how this plays out here. I hope we can at least make it a little bit into this run, get a chance to really experience it. We'll see. Beastmaster, I believe, is an enemy that spawns in a lot of units, so this would be a good encounter for Keltullus. Oh, and we also have the Fissure, which reduces our board space, which means we're never going to be able to fill our rows completely. So, at least towards the end of a match, could be good news for Keltullus. So there is Kelly. Boat Builders for the armor. Malcolm Defender, if we can boost it, which we might need to do with leader ability. Otherwise, it's not going to be that effective for us. We might want to get rid of you. And Visigurd, although he is potentially, theoretically, a good card, we just don't really... I mean, these are the 2 cards that would support him, but it's just these are kind of... This is boosting centric, and it's not really what we're trying to focus on, it seems like, unless we go in an entirely different direction, in which case it's not really what we're trying to do with these cards. So we're kind of split in 2 potential directions, but I think, especially since we have Keltullus, let's get rid of Nekker. Okay, Osrael could be a great point slam. I think we dump Malcolm Defender as well. Okay. And we end up drawing into Nekker anyway. Let's begin with the Nausicaa Sergeant, since this is going to get boosted whenever we play a card with a deploy ability, and we have several deploy abilities here. So this could definitely power up over time. And remind me what your deal is. Yeah, spawn a Rabid Warg on an allied row. So every other turn, they're spawning in a unit. So that should mean it'll be a good opportunity to have Keltullus do her thing. We just can't do it immediately, otherwise she can destroy herself. If she's the only card on the board, she will destroy herself. So don't do that. Don't do that. I forget what else this guy has. I think he's in general just a swarm deck, right? Some Thrive, maybe, kind of, sort of. There's Unseen Elder. That is our leader ability, or our key card. So we do want to try to keep Nausicaa Sergeant alive. Maybe we go Boat Builders, give the armor to Nausicaa Sergeant, and yeah, we still can't play Kelly yet. Need them to play more units, which means this is why we didn't really love Nekker. It's going to be really awkward trying to find a time in which we can actually play this and not have to... I mean, consequently, we would have to delay Keltullus. So they are just total opposite things that we are building around in that case. So I think we still do this. We also would like to get... yeah, we would like to get Unseen Elder out as quickly as possible, really. Just want to... Since he's not a deploy ability, I want to make sure that we're keeping Nausicaa Sergeant alive for the time being. Then we'll probably go you next. Damage ally unit by 2. Please don't destroy that. Okay. Just want you to keep a bunch of units on the board. Actually, Tivor, by giving our opponent another unit, I didn't even think of this, but from that standpoint, it is a great way to synergize with Keltullus as well. I think we will still go Unseen Elder first here, though. So let's do this, and we're gonna, I think, go for you. Right? Give enemy unit 4 bleeding. Bleeding ignores armor, so that's fine. Yeah. And we don't really want to damage Thrive, and we don't want to get rid of you either. Who are we giving armor to? I think it's still you, just because you're the weakest. Unseen Elder is, of course, quite strong. We would like to keep him alive, but it's not urgent yet. I don't remember how much damage they have, but they are perhaps about to answer that question. Some. Okay, there's the curse. We were going to get it at some point, but I mean, I guess we'll get rid of it early in this case. So, how many units do they have? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 versus 3 for us. So if we play a 4th, we still have fewer units, so Keltullus would activate and remove a Rabid Warg. So I think that is probably what we're going to do here. And let's give the armor to Unseen Elder, because he's fairly high priority as well. So there's one card getting removed by Keltullus.
What is it?
Still don't love you. So it's now, what, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 versus 1, 2, 3, 4. And if we play another card here, then it's going to be 5 to 5 units apiece, and that means Keltullus just does nothing on that turn, which is not ideal. So what we'd like to do is probably use Tibor here, because that way we're summoning something out on their side of the board. So then we'll have, what? They'll still have one more card than us, basically. So Keltullus will still activate here. And then on their next turn, they'll use their leader ability anyway, so they'll spawn in an extra card, so should be fine at that point. So I think we go Tibor.
Give no quarter!
And we avoided them getting the Consume ability. In fact, Consume is terrible for us, since we don't want them to reduce the number of cards they have. So let's see. Yes, we'll give more armor to Unseen Elder. There's them spawning in a unit, and as long as you don't consume, you still have one more card than we do right now. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Oh, okay. Definitely. So, I mean, this is what I was talking about. Nekker, on one hand, you want to play it early, so you have time to trigger the Thrive. On the other hand, it means that we are potentially bricking Keltullus, which maybe at this point it's worth more. It might be worth more than Keltullus is, because at this point it's probably just going to be a 2-point Warg every other turn for Kelly. If we do this, we're tied for units, right? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, and 7. So yeah, I think we do that. And then we could even potentially curse next turn, and that's a way to avoid having to play a unit on a turn. And we should probably give these guys armor. So these guys will get boosted, and then that means that if we do end up playing Visiger, that's going to hurt. And they could potentially destroy several of those Nekkers, which is, on one side, not good, because we wanted to turn them into engines to help set up a bigger Visiger. On the other hand, it means that now they definitely have more units than us, so Kelly is now definitely going to be active. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. We could do pretty much whatever we want and still get Kelly to activate here. When it comes to Ozrel, as I was saying before, in multiplayer Gwent, usually you just play Ozrel in round 2 or round 3, and there's going to be something in people's graveyards. But in Rogue Mage, it has to be a card that gets destroyed, and 1-point Nekkers. Not really how I had hoped that Ozrel would get set up. So we might need to use Visiger. Well, actually, Bleed will get rid of Etriel here, and that's a 4-point body, so that's something. We'd like to see some bigger stuff destroyed here. So, I mean, maybe we even go Mahakam Defender and use a leader ability charge here. A little cleanse to get it boosted up. Earlier we do that, the better, of course. So it means more time for him to get boosted every turn. Give the armor to... I mean, Kelly's getting a little bit weak here. So now there's at least one card that is actually better than the 2 cards in our graveyard right now for Ozrel. Yeah, they're going after Kelly. And Kelly right now, I think, would destroy Brockvar Hunter. Otherwise, we could use Visigurd now. I mean, he's not going to get any stronger over time, really. He would have 3 charges, which we could use to... not too much, really. So, yeah, I think we're probably just going to settle for Visigurd here and now.
Sintra will rise from the ashes.
You get destroyed, and that means they should have 2 units in their graveyard now. That's not good. Consume something with 3 or less power. No, it's Keltullus! Oh, how could you? I mean, she definitely did some work for us, but oh, does that change the equation here with Osrael? 10 points if we consume here. I think it's 8 if we go here. Yeah, it is now suddenly better for us to consume from our own graveyard. Unless we can destroy something bigger with Visigurd with 3 damage, which I don't think we can. No. Okay. So, and we also, after losing Kelly, we are suddenly in a dangerous spot here. We might need to be using some spells, especially because our last turn is going to be cursed, and that is worth a fat old 0 points. So at one point in time, it seemed like, well, if we have Kelly on the board, at least it's a turn in which we're probably getting Kelly to activate, but no, that is no longer the case here, so this is just terrible. So I think we could use it now and wait to see if there happens to be something better on our next turn to go after with Osrael's consumption. Guess maybe that is worth doing, but I think we are in a bit of a dire situation all of a sudden. Destroying the lowest power enemy unit is not a big deal. I mean, we could have destroyed something already with... If we had destroyed both of you with Visigurd in anticipation, then would have destroyed, what, a 4? Which is okay, but not great. We don't have any units in our hand. I think it's going to have to be Xavier. And, I mean, it's okay, but it's not amazing. Earlier would have been great, but at this stage, not very good. Yeah, that's actually another point, is... and we can give it armor, even if we are not about to play Osrael on this turn. So we might as well, I suppose. So that's another thing, is that Portal's actually going to be really tough with Kelly. Because, if anything that doesn't have armor, I mean you, but you're a Thrive unit, so I don't really want to hit you. You're going to get killed by the bleed, so I think we're just going to save this. And do this. So yeah, Portal's going to be really hard to use, because that means playing another unit, of course. And if we have Kelly on the board, we, generally speaking, do not really want to be playing units. Sayer Quan, that is a card we want to destroy. And if we had Visigurd's damage still, which, I mean, we have a little bit of, we would love to go after it now, but that's not going to be sufficient. And if we're looking at Osrael here, yeah, we're still looking at consuming Kelly, and consuming Nekker is a little bit better, so that means range row to consume from our graveyard. But is that going to be sufficient? That's going to turn him into a 1 plus 10, so 11. We'll have 1 more damage from Visigurd. They will not be on leader ability. Oh, but this Sayer Quan. Yeah, the Sayer Quan is going to get boosted by 10. We need to destroy this, otherwise we're going to lose. I think it is pretty clear that that is the case. So, an expensive first match here. We feared might be the case. But the good news is that at least we've gotten rid of our curse, so assuming that we do walk out of this fight to live another day, our deck is theoretically a little bit stronger for that reason. And it's Wolfpack, and that's basically nothing. It's definitely an interesting deck. But it is going to be difficult to pull it off here, I think. Okay, so let's see. What can we add? Boost all allied units by 1. That is generally the kind of, well, the more units you have, the stronger it is. And if we're playing Keltullus, for the most part, we're trying not to have a lot of units. On the other hand, with Keltullus, you do want to boost what units you do have. Otherwise, we're removing Osrael. We don't want to do that. I think we're adding more of it in that case. So, potentially decent. It's a finisher. It seemed like most of our other cards were cards we wanted to play early. So that's maybe not a bad thing. Okay, so now we need to plan out our route a little bit here. And these places of power are worth considering. Because this red one is remove a card from our deck of our choice. So we could get rid of Nekker, for example, if we thought that was causing too many problems when combined with Keltullus. Or Malcolm Defender. I mean, at least with, yes, with leader ability. We need a cleanse, we can set it up, but rather not have to do that every time we play it. Otherwise, do we have any other way to boost it? I don't think we do. Yeah, so has 0 setup outside of our having to spend energy to use it every time. So that's worth considering. And then I always forget green versus blue. One is upgrade and one is duplicate. I think blue is duplicate and green is upgrade the base power of a card, which, well, I don't know. I might still be leaning toward removing one of these bad ones. The other thing to consider is there's an elite battle over here and an elite battle over here, and that would upgrade Detloff, or rather, Unseen Elder, which, for the next upgrade, give enemy unit bleeding 4, that's the same, still avail Zeal. At the end of your turn, give all non-bleeding enemy units bleeding 2, rather than just 1. So that is, well, it sounds great, but functionally, it really just means that if, well, I was going to say that if you play Unseen Elder later, that it's making up for the fact that you didn't get him immediately, but that's not entirely true, because even if you bleed someone early, you know, eventually that 2 turns of bleeding is going to run out, and then in the upgraded Unseen Elder's case, you can still go back and reapply that bleed. So yeah, that is a pretty big upgrade. Is it a big enough upgrade that it's worth going into an early elite battle? How do we feel about that? I mean, if we had a place of power soon thereafter, is kind of the case there, then we might consider it. If we go there, then it's a long way until we do get a place of power. It would be that one there, and then treasure chest afterward, which this is slightly earlier, before a couple of battles there, but then we're kind of locked. Wow, we are very locked into that pathway if we go there. Do wow, we have 0 ways to switch our path if we go the southern route? The entire route? Kind of seems like that, unless we go up here. Even then, because you can't go back that way. You're quite literally just stuck here the entire time. I don't think you can go there. I don't think you can go there. You are on a one-way track straight to the boss. That seems like that's asking for trouble. We'd like to have some flexibility, right? We have other elite battles later on if we really wanted to get that upgrade. Elsewhere, there are 2 up here. If you go through one of these, you can't avoid the second. Yeah, I kind of hate the elite battle locations, but I think we have to probably forego them, to be honest. Let's see what we get for our treasure chest. And it's Traveling Priestess, which is basically a free spell. So that probably, what? I mean, as we were saying, Portal is going to be tough with Kelly. But Cleanse, I mean, it's not a huge deal. Getting a free Cleanse is something. Masterful Thunder, we can use that more frequently. Technically speaking, if we're removing our opponent's cards, that's also kind of an anti-Kelly synergy, but we will see. We will see. What's up, Emberic? How are you? No bot response. We have I think we have the lurk emoji for Mass Effect is in today. So, yeah, we can either gain 20 energy, which, honestly, after we had to use our curse and more energy than I would have liked in our previous encounter, there is something to be said for that. On the other hand, removing one of those cards that we don't love in our deck would also be nice. So long term, it would probably be preferable to remove Malcolm Defender or Nekker. There's a chance that we might get the option to remove it later on, but we can't really rely on that, and it might be an option that only becomes available very late in the run, and at that point, you know, we missed a lot of opportunity to gain that benefit earlier in the run. So I think we'll take our chances here. We do still have 50 energy, so, you know, that is certainly something. But I think, I mean, it's one of you two. It's probably Nekker. Well, you have 0 setup unless we use our leader ability, whereas you can work, even if we don't have our leader ability, just that you are even less synergistic with Kelly. But, you know, we might not get Kelly every match, or we might get Kelly relatively late. So I think we will remove Malcolm Defender, come to think of it. Alright. So then, how long until our next place of power as we're planning things out here? Battle, events. And then we establish that if we go the southern route, we will never have the chance to change paths. So we're probably going this route here. Oh, okay. Well, if I realize there's going to be an orange place of power here, then I might have gone the energy route there. But then again, it's a lot of battles. So we're probably going to want energy here. Yeah. So I think we're going this middle route. So what will we get? It's the Gladiator.
The stench of fear. I knows it well.
We've faced him many times. And okay. So, very similar to our starting hand that we had last time. Kelly, Visigurd, and Tibor. These two work fantastically together. You do not. Great card, but just not great for this situation. You do work well with Kelly, just having high base power. And we can certainly use boat builders as well. Visigurd, good, although we still just don't really have great setup. I mean, it would have been something we could have used with Nekker, but again, it's not really something we want to focus on. But yeah, this looks great. Okay, so we can't play Kelly first. Otherwise, Kelly is just going to destroy herself, and that's no good. So I think once again we start with boat builders here.
Hey, warranties of that soul. 3 times they warranties.
And usually this guy leads off with a burst of possibly even as much as 5 damage. So this boat builders might be about to get hit pretty hard. Unsace. I mean, yes, that is going to be a lot of damage. Not the way I thought you were going to get a bunch of damage. But if you destroy stuff, then Osrail could certainly work. Also, if you destroy stuff, it's going to make it easier to sustain Kelly. You have a lot of shields, and you might finish with Ragnar, who gets boosted based on the number of shields that you have on the board. So, having Bleed can deal damage regularly and remove some of those shields. So I think Unseen Elder early is going to be quite useful to us. And we can't do Kelly yet, because we'd have more units than them still. So it's probably this. And let's give Unseen Elder a little bit of armor, because, I mean, they're probably going to try to take out boat builders, but we definitely want to keep Unseen Elder alive. Depends. Boost an allied unit by a lot. That's actually not good. That is not a unit, which means they're doing more to make it harder to play Kelly. But, okay, now, I mean, we could force them into playing another unit or getting another unit out there with Tibor. That's an option, I suppose. Primordial Dow, I mean, it's a shield of our own, but, yeah. Otherwise, just hit Onsace with a free Thunder from the Priestess is technically an option. Could go that route, to be honest. In fact, I might prefer that. So it's a free copy of any of these spells. Again, Portal would normally, in this situation, probably be the best option here, but in the interest of not making it any more difficult to use Kelly, we deal damage, but we don't destroy you, so that is the best way to use Thunder if we have Kelly. Let's still add armor to you, though. You are the only thing here outside of boat builders that is still giving us long-term value. So you get boosted whenever you have a shield. Yeah, there goes boat builders. We expected that to happen. You do also spawn stuff, but that was another card we could have potentially removed from that previous place of power. Yes, it's only so many things we can remove. But, okay, so now 2 units apiece still means Kelly would remove, in this case, the Priestess, which is not the end of the world, but we'd rather not do that. So, what if we... It's too early for Visigurd. Boat Builders is going to be a half-decent target for Osrail, but we'd love to... Well, Onsace is 4, so that's not a huge deal, I guess. Might be Tibor. Might be Tibor. Okay, and that is going to give them another way to get shields, which is a little bit unfortunate, because they do very much like the shields. And we should be trying to hit you. Bleed helps get rid of them, except this is the card we really want to hit. So, I do probably want to play you early, because you'll get boosted by you, Okay, not that much, in truth. But earlier we played, the better it is still. So, it's probably this. The big question is, do we feel the need to immediately get rid of your shield? Oh, I mean, technically speaking, we could remove Onsace with a Masterful Thunder, and we'd be guaranteed to at least get a little bit of overkill damage, and in doing so, we would hit the adjacent unit, which would be Windhelm, because he has a shield, so he's not going to take damage. We're just hitting him to remove the shield. But that means that if we're hitting him directly, then it's a lot of wasted damage. So that is technically the most efficient way to do it. But it means removing a card, which means Kelly is, again, not going to be ideal. So Kelly's going to be tricky. Kelly might backfire on us. But I think we kind of have to do this, otherwise Windhelm's going to get out of control. It's always a chance, yeah, that we were going to give the bleed to him with Unseen Elder. Now it's more likely for that to be the case. If they're going to hit Unseen Elder, they might. Yeah, they do. Ah, they remove them altogether, okay. Fortunately, we removed the shield once again with that bleed this time. So now it's 3 units to 4 units, which means if we play Kelly, we are tied with units. So it's not out of the question. I mean, it's not going to do anything, but it's not going to hurt us either. We now have 13 points in our graveyard versus 4 in there, so Ozrel is, again, getting better. Primordial Dow is also not a terrible idea, just because if they are going to continue to poke us with some damage, then with his shield, he can tank a little bit of that damage. So maybe we do that since Kelly is not really a rush right now, but they are still in the lead here, and that is making me very, very concerned. Oh, also, Nazca Sergeant is not looking so great right now. Yikes! Wish we didn't really have to do that. I mean, it's a small investment, relatively speaking, but still. Okay. No shield on Windhelm, thankfully, at least for the time being. Still, they have 1 more unit than us, right? It's 5 to 4, so Kelly doesn't really do anything here. I mean, if we go Ozrel, then we would make Visigurd a little bit stronger, and we can't play Visigurd on our last turn, otherwise we won't have time to use this. You're an anti-synergy with Kelly, but you do give armor every turn. So there's a trade-off there. So I really don't know how to use you two. Normally you would not have them in the same deck. So it is a nuisance to work around them. I want to make Kelly work, but it's tough. I guess it might be Ozrel. I mean, on one hand, we kind of like to wait around and see if we'll get a better option, but it's decent value. Not sure it's going to get much better than that. And they continue to not play units. Why? Why do you do this? Okay. I think we need to accept the fact that Kelly is going to destroy one of our own cards, in which case we would like for that card that gets destroyed to be a 2-point Rowdy Dwarf. So I think it's probably Dwarven Chariot on this turn just to get the armor, because they are trying to hit some of our cards. And then it'll be Visigurd, and then we'll finish with Kelly. Kelly will destroy, probably, this 2-point Rowdy Dwarf. Please don't. Okay. Technically, it would have been the right choice to destroy this, but... Alright, so let's give you armor, because we'd like for you... I mean, technically, you don't need to stay boosted any longer, because as soon as we play Visigurd, we'll factor in that you two are both boosted. Do we need to play any specials here? Do we need to use any leader ability charges? Because Kelly is going to be our last turn play. It's going to functionally be 7 points, because she's worth 9, but she's going to destroy this 2-point Rowdy Dwarf. We're going to have 3 damage from Visigurd, which is perhaps just going to be for shield removal, to be honest. Primarily on Windhelm, but yeah. So probably try to finish with Ragnar. Man. Yikes. Yikes. And if we were going to do something little, it could have been a cleanse, and we could have used that before we played Visigurd to make Visigurd a little bit stronger. But it is, I mean, we might still end up doing that, but it does mean we're getting 1 less point of value out of it. So again, it's a small little commitment. So I'm hoping we're kind of, not over-committing too much. So yeah, they just... I mean, at this point, we've established that Kelly is not going to be destroying one of their cards. But we remove this shield. Remove this shield. Obviously, it means we're not actually dealing damage, but the assumption is that this last card is Ragnar, because that is their best finisher, and he gets boosted up based on the number of shields that he destroys. I don't remember if the Rogue Mage Ragnar removes your opponent's shields as well. He does not in multiplayer Gwent, but he might in Rogue Mage, in which case this is actually making him stronger, which does make me a little bit nervous. But yes, we just hit you. I mean, if we wanted to, we felt extremely desperate. We could portal and see if we get something like Morkvar Card of Terror to really weaken this Windhelm, but otherwise we can still give armor, and it does really seem like they are trying to deal some damage to some peoples. Do we need to use anything else? Ragnar, let's assume that it's him. He's a 4-point body. He gets boosted by, I think it's 3 per shield he removes. So he's going to be 7 when he removes this. You will also get boosted by 2, so it's going to be a 9-point finisher. If we have 7 points coming from this, then we will be on 65 at the end, which means we would just barely beat you by 2 points. Oh, man. Okay. I guess we'll do it. And in multiplayer Gwent, Keltullus does not activate her ability if she's in the range row. So in multiplayer Gwent, you would deliberately play Kelly in the range row to avoid having her destroy your own unit. But that's not the case in Rogue Mage. Doesn't matter where she is, she's going to do it. Even if we do this. So, according to my calculations, we're still fine. That doesn't mean I'm not nervous. Oh, I forgot about that. It is Ragnar. I think we're good. I hope my math was right. No, it was not! Ah! I guessed in everything. I just did the wrong math. Oh, now I feel silly. What math did I do wrong? It was 4 plus 3, 7 plus 2, 9. We should have still... How did they outscore us? Means to still win that match, but I didn't think we had to. Invest any further. Darn. That was a cool deck that I really wanted to make work, but unfortunately, there were just a few too many odds and ends to make it work the way I wanted it to, and with enough time, we probably could have removed more of those cards that we really did not want to have that were causing us so many issues, but ultimately, we couldn't do it quickly enough, and came back to bite us. Alright, well then, in that case, tough pill to swallow, but I suppose we're heading back out there with the same plan.
Of concentration, that's all.
I mean, that's a pretty accurate description of how that went through. I mean, I thought I did the math correctly, but apparently I messed up somewhere. But I think we keep everything the same here, and again, we weren't able to use Portal with Kelly as well, so it was difficult to make it all work together, but I think we just run exactly the same thing here. Obviously, we're going to get different random cards in our deck because it is a Chaos run, but same with everything else, and we just see what we get. But if we don't make this one work, then we're probably gonna end it there, but we'll see. Okay, this time it's a Swamp Monster, so it is not the same boss. We also were, I suppose, not huge fans of the layout of that previous run either, but our tech seemed pretty decent. It's Dogger. We've not seen him in a very long time, so for him, the more damage we deal, the more he gets boosted, but at least initially, we need to be damaging cards in the opposite row from him. So if he's in the melee row, we need to be damaging stuff in their melee row. If he's in the range row, we need to damage stuff in their range row. So do we have the damage to set him up? Not with you. Not with you. Yes, with you. Yes, with you. Yes, very much so with you. That's a great combo. Keep on getting boat builders, but okay. Arcane gets powered up by Bleed, which we don't have. That's a really awkward fit. Brand Warrior gets boosted whenever we destroy a unit. Right, or our opponent destroys a unit, and we are trying to be a damage deck here, it would seem. So, that could work. Panther does have some bleed to help set up Arcane, but these are very, very clearly the two odd cards out here. We have at least 25 points in a row, or in total. Then we get boosted by 2 on the Switch Apprentice, so could work in potentially just about any deck, but works best when you have a high scoring deck, more so than when you have a high damage deck. I mean, this is kind of a hybrid between the two, but okay, you're also a card that boosts itself slowly, but maybe possibly has armor. Obviously, we have the curse as well. Again, I mean, as we probably expected, we see some things that can work really well together. Most notably, Dogger plus Philippa and Black Rayla as well. Those are legitimately very good synergies. A little bit less so with Ulfhedin, Brand Warrior, and I mean, I guess kind of sort of Panther. But then, like, Arcane is just coming out of nowhere. You're probably not good enough to be all that useful, and this is still something we'd prefer to have a better source of damage than this. So, alright, we'll see if we can make it work. Bandit Leader is what? They're just straightforward damage? Forget. Let's see. Damage enemy unit by 1, cooldown 1. Yeah, pretty much. Okay, so we do have Dogger plus Philippa. Oh, the other thing was that in our previous one, when we had Unseen Elder, we were saying how, yeah, it would have been a fairly decent thing to upgrade our key card using an elite battle. That I think is very much also the case with Dogger. Let's just do a quick double check here. Because right now, again, it needs to be in the opposite row for us to damage, for us to get boosted from our damage. Whereas if we upgrade him, doesn't matter where we're damaging our opponent, he's always getting boosted, so it doesn't require nearly as much prediction. And also, he has an order ability to deal a little bit of damage, ignoring our opponent's armor, so that at least means that if we have no other ways to set him up, he can do a little bit of damage and get himself a little bit of a boost as well and help get him out of removal range, because usually the case with Dogger, at least if you have a well-built deck for him, is initially at just 4 power, he is very vulnerable, but if you can get that first little bit of damage in to boost him up, then he gets pretty big and gets out of removal range, and then you can just, you know, go crazy and get tons of damage and get huge boosts on him. But Jermaine is just a really awkward fit. I mean, he's theoretically still worth a decent amount of points, but just very, very odd, this inclusion here. Panther, as we were saying, is, I mean, it is damage, but it's not very good damage, so it's kind of the better card, worse synergy. Worse card, better synergy. Which one do you prefer? And it's kind of similar with you. Oh, well, there's the curse. We're probably going to get it at some point. Okay, so Rayla is potentially a really nice way to synergize. Oh, actually, these are our 2 best cards to synergize with Dogger. But as we were saying before, we are a little bit concerned about him getting destroyed. So I think what we do, we probably do still play him turn 1, and we'll use Cleanse to boost him up so he's up at 7, so that even if he gets hit by the leader ability, which will definitely happen, and even if he gets hit by a little bit of damage from whatever card they play on their next turn, he should still live, and then we can start getting things like Black Rayla and Philippa, which next turn is probably going to be overkill on her, but once we get Philippa going, then Dogger will be pretty big, and they will probably not be able to remove him at that point. So it does require that we guess what row they're going to play stuff in. I'm assuming, for the most part, it's melee row, but I don't really know. So we're going to cleanse him, just to play it safe, because a dead Dogger is no good. We know he's going to get hit at least once, and yes, you do have damage. Ooh, this is an interesting one. And also, as a damage deck, which we are, we were saying it before, we are using one of the difficulty modifiers that gives our opponents armor, which is unfortunate, because that obviously makes dealing damage much more difficult. The interesting thing about you is once you get dropped to 3 power, you get flipped into a Bear Abomination. So what I was saying before was that once we use Philippa, that is probably going to get Dogger big enough that they're not going to be able to remove him. But I was thinking we weren't going to use Philippa on our first turn because she's going to give us more damage than we we're going to be able to deal, because our opponent was just going to have 1 unit on the board. On the other hand, because after taking damage, you'll switch into another card that will have 6 power. We functionally have 10 damage here, and you functionally have 1 armor, 2 power before you switch into a 6-point body. So that's what, 9 points of damage it would take to destroy you. So it's 1 point of overkill, but it's not terrible. I mean, it's still probably not the way we prefer to use Philippa, but it does mean getting Dogger boosted up very quickly, so we might still do it. Otherwise, Rayla early is, the earlier the better for her. If it's a little bit risky, I guess we'll try this. They might be able to destroy Dogger this turn. If they do, then that's going to be pretty painful, given how weird. Yeah, yep, there he goes. Oh, no, never mind, there goes Rayla. Okay, let's not take her. Let's maybe not take our chances anymore. It is more overkill damage, kind of, sort of, except 1 of those points of damage was going to hit the armor anyway. Let's not mess around here too much. Oh. Never mind. It just doesn't even flip into the Bear Abomination. So, it also did... Oh, yeah, I guess she was able to destroy it in 2 bursts. Okay, well, it's not exactly the way that I thought that was going to work there, order of operations-wise. Does mean we didn't get as much of a boost on Dogger as I was thinking we were going to get. So that is unfortunate. Could give him more armor with Boat Builders, but that's obviously not damage. Panther, the bleed can go through armor, so we could continue to boost him that way. I think we're going to go Boat Builders, though. Earlier the better on you, and we do still have time for this lead to take full effect. That's going to hit for decent damage. We'd love to have a card like that. That'd be a perfect addition to our deck. We are probably going bleed here and now, though. We'd actually kind of like for somebody to have a lot of base power for Ulfhedden to go after. Earlier we go with Germain, the better as well, though that would have been nasty if we had Germain and a bunch of 1-point cows and they just destroyed them all with the Forktail. So we dodged that bullet. I think we might still be looking Panther here. And range row for the bleed. We have enough time for it, so we'll do that. Still give the armor to Dogger. He's by far the most important unit for us to protect. What else do they have? They have some bleed. I mean, these are a bunch of cards that we'd like to have. I mean, that's not a great one, but just damage stuff in general is kind of what we're looking for, of course. So now we could go Garcane and get a little bit of boost on it, because they do have a bleeding unit. So that's 1 point per turn. We are not at 25 points, so it's not as if Witch Apprentice is going to activate anytime soon. So I think it is Garcane. I think it is probably Garcane. And I guess we'll give that armor. Stogger. I mean, he has a little bit of armor. He's going to get a little bit more boost from that bleed damage, but okay, we protect against that ability. The bleed can go through that armor, though. Fortunately, they're going after the wrong person. And can't protect against this bleed damage there, but maybe it's time for Germain. And if we do that, then we would be at 25 points, so that means Witch Apprentice would start getting activated. And we, as I was saying, I mean, the earlier we get you, the better, but just wasn't really a point of emphasis. And I guess give armor to Germain? They really want to get rid of Boat Builders, though.
To earn it all, you've got to give it all.
Don't try anything, you little bitch.
Okay, we can spawn in another one of you. And so it should be Witch Apprentice here.
Quick, move those hooves. It'll both be ham.
You will get boosted. Should give you armor. And question is, do we need to use any leader ability charges? Because if so, we should be yeah, no, we have curses our last play. We absolutely need to. I think we absolutely need to. More I think about it. This would have been great early. We do not have any soldiers, so Ramon does not work. Catechin. It's a point slam. Not a very good point slam, but it is a point slam. If we had you earlier, you would have been great setup for Dogger. Are you good enough for that to still be the case? If these guys didn't have armor, we could deal damage and boost up Dogger, but that's not so. So you would just be, what, 5 points if we hit you, and then we'd have another hit we could do next turn. I think it's still better to go Catechin, isn't it? It is going to take up a fair bit of space, but again, this curse is not going to take up any room, because that is just a dead card. We are taking some bleed damage as well. Oh, no idea how much you're going to get boosted by. Oh, the maximum amount, of course. The maximum amount. Why not? I mean, you are now a great target for Ulfhedden, so I suppose there is that, and you are in the melee row, which means that you'll get a boost for Dogger. It's just going to be 1 point of boost, because this is one big chunk of damage. But, okay, I think we are in a little bit of trouble here, though. I mean, that is going to be decent, I suppose. Maybe this is a little bit overreacting. But you are a very solid point slam as well. That's 10 points. I guess that's 1 less than what Catechin had. Or 1 more than what Catechin had. Panther at this point, not enough time for the bleed, and can't put you in the range row anyway. That is full, so just be 2 points of damage. So you're a 6, or really, yeah, 6, because we can't break through the armor to set up Dogger anymore. Oriana, we have a lot of units. Boost up by the number of bleeding enemy units. We had a few earlier, but no more anymore. So it would just be the bleed from her. So another one that would have been great if we had this a few turns earlier. I think it's going to be just living armor here, though. Definitely could have been worse, though. And it does trigger Thrive, so actually that means you are now 10, so that works. And then we'll go here and hit you. Boost up Dogger a bit, and now, I mean, the margin is much, much bigger, but remember, they have 1 more card remaining than we do. Fortunately, that Bloodthirst is not active, otherwise that would have been pretty huge. And remember that this last card is worth precisely nothing. So with a 20-point lead, I think we're still good here. Fingers crossed. Oh, well, I mean, they're going to have a little more here. Batman Lugo's not that big, so I think we're fine. Think we're fine here. Okay. So we really just need to get these, especially the random decks, just need to get them off the ground. Just need to remove some of the bad cards, add some good cards here or there, to the point where they are more functional and less a random hodgepodge of stuff. Like, Nazca Sergeant is not, I mean, it's an okay card, it's decent, but it does not necessarily synergize at all with Dogger or really anything else that we have in our deck. I mean, how many deployabilities do we have? 1, 2, 3, I think we have a decent amount. 4, 5, 6, and 6. The problem is several of those are cards that we don't really like all that much. Ida is not really helping us all that much. Germain is worth a decent amount of points. I mean, both of them are potentially worth a decent amount of points, but they just don't synergize with the other stuff we're trying to do. You're not a very good damaging card, even if you are a damaging card. It's just this awkward place we find ourselves in, and then we could remove Ida, which would be nice. I mean, I guess we do that. I mean, you are range row, you're worth 9 points, which is not terrible by any means, but it's a missed opportunity here. If this was 5 base power and 4 bleed, that'd be much better. I mean, that is almost what Panther is, I suppose, but Vids, you just said Panther was bad. Look, it's 1 higher base power, but also, we want more damage, and we want it immediately. Not this slow bleed damage over time nonsense. Alright, so speaking of removing cards we don't like, we could potentially do that at this red place of power over there. That is an option. It is kind of far away from this elite... we wouldn't be able to do this elite battle if we had interest in upgrading Dogger, which would be kind of nice. If we go that route, few events, a couple battles, another place of power, treasure chest, place of power up there, eventually elite battle. I don't even think we have a way to circumvent that if we wanted to. If we start going this northern route, I think we are almost completely locked in. Where would be our first opportunity to diverge paths? Here, and that doesn't really do anything. Yeah, so it's actually very similar to what we saw in the previous run, where if we go up one of the sides, then we have almost no wiggle room. Functionally, this not a single time we can change paths the entire match. So that's you know, that's a little concerning. Otherwise, middle route, lots of events, not a lot of battles. Then we have 3 in a row, though. And treasure chest after that. From there, I mean, of course, do have the flexibility to potentially go down here, place of power, elite battle there. Place of power just before boss. I mean, that's kind of nice, but this is an awkward spell here where we have event, battle, event, 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 battle, battle, chest, battle, like that is a huge, like we're going over halfway across the map without any places of power, which I'm not a big fan of. We might be going the northern route. I think we'll try it. It means we are basically not changing our path the entire route, which I am not a huge fan of, but didn't have much choice in the matter. Pit fighter early. We'll take it. We'll take it. Starts out very weak and starts in our hand, so he is a handicap initially, but the longer that he stays in our deck, the stronger he becomes. And probably a good thing that we did go the northern route, otherwise that middle route had very few battles, so he was not going to have much time to power up. So by the end of the run, if we make it that far, he will be very good. But at least early on, he is a hindrance. So, more of the same here. The deck starts out bad, but gets better over time. It's Gladiator. This is the very enemy that defeated us last time. Because Lids forgot how to do math. Knew exactly what the enemy was doing, and still did the math wrong. Somehow. Okay, so we would like to get rid of Pit Fighter. He's just a 5 and nothing else. At least at this point in time. Again, you know, over time he will increase his base power, but he's not good yet. Ulfhedden. Damage, I mean, you have a lot of shields. Just gonna make cards like Ulfhedden hard to pull off, but there are gonna be times where you're gonna have high power cards, like Windhelm. We saw last time got up to, might have been as high as 20. So if we can get rid of the shield that you are going to be putting on cards like Windhelm, then hit you with Ulfhedden, that could be good, especially late on in the round. Panther with the bleed is good to get rid of shields and keep the shields off. Redanian Knight is a card that you are going to use. Arcane. We have a little bit of bleed here. Germain, I mean, just for the points, maybe. I think we're probably dumping you. And then we're getting you back. Okay. I think I'm seeing a potential synergy here. And I think that is to go Germain, spawn in a bunch of cows, and then next turn play Vrand Warrior and assume that those cows are gonna get destroyed by some means at some point, and that will eventually boost up Vrand Warrior. I think that's what we're going for.
We'll defend our homes, no matter what.
But you do have a combo that can deal 5 damage in one turn, so if we don't boost Germain here, he can get destroyed. So I think we do have a place of power after this. It's one where we can potentially remove stuff, which I would really like to do, but I think we do prioritize keeping Germain safe here, at least initially. Because if it is that, then yes, this is your 5 damage combo. So I actually kind of do want you to hit Germain in this case. We'd like you to... Oh, well... Okay, I mean, yes. You did do exactly what I thought you were going to do. Eventually, I just wanted you to wait a little bit until we got Vrand Warrior on the board. And then wanted you to remove this stuff, because now we'll get boosted when you do that. Windhelm. So he's the one that's going to get huge.
Down with them.
So you will eventually be the target for Ulfhedden. I think for the time being, though, the longer you remain on the board, the stronger you'll become. And there's really no cap on that number. So I think it's probably, what, Redanian Knight, then Arcane / Panther. Philippa, I can remove a whole bunch of shields at the end of the match. Yeah, that actually could be great to disrupt their Ragnar finisher. Bow Builders we'd also like to do early to give armor. But, you know, if we're hoping they just take out the cows and boost up Vrand Warrior, because that would actually be a net 0 point play. We lose 1 point there, we gain 1 point here. So yeah, I think it's still you. But they're probably going to go after this as soon as we play it, I imagine. Because if it loses its armor, then that means that it is no longer an engine, and that's exactly what they do. It does get rid of your shield, so it is... There's something to be said for that, but they're not... I mean, they're going to get it back anyway. I was going to say, we're probably going to be messing with that shield anyway. It's going to be hard to use Dogger against an enemy that has, starting out, 2 armor on every unit, and is giving a shield to their units basically every turn. So Dogger, as much as you are our key card, and normally would be a card we'd like to build around, I am not really sure that you are as high a priority here. But we could... Let's see. So I want to make sure we have enough time for all of the bleed here and to get boosted from all this bleed as well. I mean, you're just Garcane. Functionally, in fact, you're weaker than Garcane. You're Garcane with 2 less base power. And that's kind of sad. So we might prioritize boat builders instead here. In fact, would have liked... Oh, tell you what. You're an engine again, aren't you? Yeah. Yeah, you are. In multiplayer Gwent, you need to be in the range row, but that is not the case in Rogue Mage. So that's nice. Oh, okay. Well, now suddenly we do have more stuff that can set up Dogger with Rayla. Okay. Let's get you out. We are probably going to want Dogger on our next turn. Kind of thing. Well, I mean, there's still all this stuff as well. I mean, we'll see. We'll see. Still shields, still armor, which is annoying. Who are we going to try to hit? Because everyone has a shield, everyone has 2 armor. Yes, we would normally want to get rid of Windhelm's shield and armor to shut him down, but on the other hand, if we're planning to use our Ulfhedden on him anyway, then that's... Actually, the bigger he becomes, the more valuable Ulfhedden is. So we should prioritize other people. If we can get rid of your armor, then you'll hit us, but you'll also stop being an engine. So I think it is technically you.
On Handor!
Do we hit you with a Thunder? Because we might want to. Highest unit would mean that it would damage Germain. They have a lead right now. I think we need to start getting aggressive. Actually destroys you. Wow. Okay, so we high rolled the damage. Okay, so at this point, I think we just need to get the bleeding happening. So it's probably Panther and then Garcane. And it's... I mean, we could go Melee Row Panther for just pure damage and not bleed, but it is... If we have time to do it, it is more value to go the bleed route, especially because bleed ignores armor. It's a rare opportunity to hit through this armor, although we're probably going to still proceed to try to hit you with Rayla anyway, because you are the closest thing we have to being something that we can remove the armor from. So it's going to be Garcane next turn, then Philippa, then use Rayla to poke Windhelm on our last turn to get rid of his shield, and use Ulfhedden to get a bunch of damage on him. That is basically the plan. Is that good enough, you ask? I have no idea, is the answer. Okay. Well, we can spawn in a little bit more. We can get you in here. We can add more armor here. We can get rid of your armor there. And so we have 2 more units we're going to play. We have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 on the board, which means we have 3 more spots remaining, which means we have 1 in addition to... or 1 free spot remaining. So we could only do 1 more portal if that is of interest, but man. I mean, we do have a place of power after this, I suppose. But... I mean, do we hit you with Thunder? If we high roll, it's 8, which which means we're actually losing some value on the bleed. I mean, that's unlikely, but... Oh no, what if we high roll? I can still do it. Oh, well, we did. So, I mean, we'll take it, I guess. Gonna reapply the shield. Of this, I'm sure. Okay, so now it's gonna be Philippa. Let's do this to keep Rayla going. Oh, you know what? Maybe it was the reason why we did our math wrong in the previous encounter against this guy. We were wondering if Ragnar gets boosted based on just your own shields or the shields your enemy has. Oh, it does. It does get boosted from your enemy's shields in multiplayer Gwent as well, doesn't it? That's why we lost. Ah, I should have known. I should have known. Okay, so that was silly in that case. All right, so you do not have a shield anymore, which means we should use Philippa against you, and then we can see what is remaining and does not have armor, and we'll use Rayla to hit whatever that might be. Okay, the answer is still you, although that does mean, once again, that we're weakening you down, not getting quite the full value out of the bleed, but I think we can settle still for that. And they did not give the shield back to Windhelm. That's questionable. Okay, no more armor from both builders, but cards getting destroyed actually powers up Brand Warrior, so it's not the end of the world. So now we are looking to use Ulfhedden on Windhelm for a lot of value, and we actually, I guess we'll then, afterward, hit Windhelm with Rayla when he doesn't have armor anymore. So then we'll see where that lands us. We might be feeling okay after that. And alternatively, we get rid of this shield, and that means, assuming their last card is the same card it was last time, Ragnar. Let's take a second here to do the math correctly this time. He's a 4-point body. He's going to get boosted by 3 for every shield he removes. That's 7 here. The K20 Cavalry also gets boosted by 2 when it loses its shield, so it's 9 points. Last time we thought it was going to be worth 9 points, but it was worth more than that, because I believe it was them removing a shield on our side that was giving more boost to Ragnar than we were giving him credit for. We do not have any shields, so that will not happen. So if they're about to score 9 points, then we should still be fine. But I've been wrong before. I've been wrong before. We also get a little bit of a boost there. It's not Ragnar. Okay, we're fine. Oh man, what if it wasn't Ragnar last time? What if it wasn't Ragnar last time? Oh man, well, lesson learned, I guess. And this time we do take down the Gladiator, which normally would not be that difficult of an enemy, but I suppose matchup-wise it's not a great mix for us. Fire Recognition does have damage, so it's a bit of a synergy there. I mean, it's not a great card, but it does synergize to a certain extent. Would remove Panther. It's basically remove a not-so-great damaging card or add a not-so-great damaging card. Both are not really kind of thing we were looking for. I mean, we're at some points probably would kind of like to remove that Panther, but in the range row, if we can make this happen, 4-point body, 4 points worth of bleeding. If we have enough time for that to activate, if we have it triggered in a row opposite the one that Dogger is in, then that's, 4 points of boost for Dogger as well. So, I mean, in the right situation, it's actually okay. So I guess I'm starting to feel a little bit better about that. I guess we add Pyrotechnician then. So it should be Place of Power now, if I remember correctly. The removing kind. Question is, on 35 energy, can we be affording to do that? And also, I just wanted to double check. There's only one place where we can change the path, right? And it is here where it matters in no way at all. Either way, it's still getting you to this Place of Power. I mean, I still think the route is pretty decent. It does mean we are locked into this elite battle, so at some point we will be upgrading Dogger. We make it that far, but I think we're taking the energy here, and we're perhaps looking for these battles to be our opportunities to remove our bad cards, rather than the places of power. Does mean, of course, random card removed. And as we saw last time, sometimes it'll be okay, our options, but not amazing. So I think we are still going to add this. All right. As for the events, who knows? We shall see. Old Grave. Oh, we've done this before, right? Let's see. Did we... We had a curse. We've already removed it, right? We already removed the curse from our starting deck, didn't we? Yeah. Okay, and Pit Fighter is now slightly better than it was before, so that's also a little bit of an upgrade after we finished that previous battle. So, I mean, at 8, it's still not great, but one more battle and then it'll be probably a decent card that's still worth playing. Let's see. So you find an old mausoleum hidden amid a tangle of shrubbery. The big thing is that we can gain a Necromancer's Tome. Play 2 units from any graveyard. If both graveyards are empty, spawn a Kedwani Revenant on each allied row. But we gain a curse, which is a card that gives us 0 points and removes 10 energy, as we saw previously. I mean, that is potentially decent. But as we saw with Osrel in the previous run, again, because there are no rounds that end and automatically move every unit into the graveyard, the only way units are going into the graveyard in the first place is if you destroy some with damage, or your opponent destroys some with damage. We are running a damage deck. We still don't really have it set up all the ways we'd like to have it set up. But in this case, if both graveyards are empty, at least you have a bit of an insurance policy with the Kedwani Revenants. They're not great, but they give some tiny little bit of damage, and potentially could scale if you can get Deathflow with them and fill a row with them. So it's not bad. It's not bad. It's good, not great. The question is that good enough to warrant adding a curse to our deck? I'm tempted. I'm gonna do it. Gonna do it. All right. Don't say I'd ever take the risks. Ooh, the Dream. This one we've only seen once or twice. This one is also very high risk, high reward, right? Let's see, wait. You slowly open your heavy eyes. There's only darkness. Are you dreaming? From somewhere in the shadows, a figure shimmers into view. His body translucent and strange. He beckons you closer and offers you a great power to help you on your quest. But such power, of course, comes with a cost. What was this last time? Is it the typical just spend energy to get a good card? Or is there something else more? Or was it like add a curse, kind of like what we just had? I don't remember. We did, of course, just take a risk by adding a curse to our deck in the name of adding a Necromancer's Tome, so you could, by that account, perhaps say, you know, we've already increased the risk significantly. Now, if we could get an opportunity to remove this curse without actually having to play it, you know, at the end of a battle or from a place of power, then that'd be awesome, because that's, obviously, that is very good. It's sort of like a free 10 energy of sorts, in addition to removing a 0-point card. We're gonna do it, though. Let's see. What do we wish for? Gain full energy. But if we hadn't just gained energy from that previous place of power, that'd be nice. But remove Pit Fighter. It is a treasure. It's not great yet, but over time it could become quite powerful. Upgrade all units in your deck, but lose all energy. Gain Hedge Knight, starts on the board, 6 power, 6 armor, not great. And Glorious Standard. All allied units are boosted by 1. Downgrade all units in our deck by 1. So basically everything has 1 lower base power. But don't these things just cancel out? We've had this once before. Because I don't remember exactly if this is the case, but if we lower the base power of all the cards in our deck, but then we also increase the base power of all the cards in our deck, then doesn't that functionally cancel out and just means we're basically getting a free Hedge Knight? Isn't that how that works? That's definitely the logic that I was using last time. I just don't remember if that proved to be true or not, but I know we did this. I think it worked for us. Let's go for it. So, okay. I think we got stronger. It does mean, of course, Pit Fighter is now a 7. Everyone's 1 point weaker. But, do we have anything that was 1 base power? And if so, what happens to it? Like, was Redani Knight 1 base power or was it 2 base power? Because in multiplayer Gwent, it used to be 1 base power, but it has since been buffed up to 2 base power. But was it still 1 base power in Rogue Mage? And so does it just stay at 1 base power? In which case, that's actually just a pure upgrade for that. Whereas everything else, it levels out. I don't know. Alright, anyways. 2 battles, then Place of Power. We got some energy from the previous Place of Power. We did not get energy from those either of those two events. So we'll see, depending on how much we use here. We may or may not opt to go that route there, and then we might have another Place of Power soon thereafter. Could influence our decision. We are on a straight line here. Fallen Hero, we have not fought this guy in a long time. I do not remember him at all. Yeah, so see, everyone is boosted by 1. So it all just cancels out. The downside, the actual biggest downside, it is actually kind of big, is we have 2 fissures already taking up or clogging our board space. We have a Glorious Standard, which is now clogging up 1 spot as well, and a Hedge Knight, which is also clogging 1 spot as well. So we have much less board space. What is your deal? Oh, it's the hard version. Let's see. Spawn and play 2 Disgraced Knights whenever you play a unit boosted by 1. So you're just a boosty boy? Spawn 2 copies of self in row. Order boosted. Oh! Oh, has this guy beaten us before? There was at least one time where he got crazy number of boosts with his Disgraced Knights, I remember. So the deal there is basically you need to aggressively destroy them. Otherwise, they just keep on getting powered bigger and bigger, and they'll keep on using those orders to make their allies get boosted up. And it's just domino effects. So I think having Dogger and then using energy, the obvious thing is to say using energy aggressively with Masterful Thunder to remove a bunch of them that are adjacent to each other. That could be a good way to go. So I think in general, damage and damage early would be a good option. Germain terrifies me. When I was saying how we don't have a lot of board space with these things, the first card that came to mind was Germain is going to be a huge problem. We do get to Necromancer's Tome, which, I mean, that also is something that, if we do get the K20 Revenants out of it, those like to take up a lot of space as well. I mean, that is potentially a way to get more damage. How much power did the Disgraced Knights have? 1. Deploy, spawn 2 copies of self on row. Does that mean... Huh. Unless they immediately get boosted, we could destroy them both with K20 Revenants. I mean, again, we're going to clog our rows, so it's more points, yes, but it means we don't have the board space for other things. How much room do we have? So it's 18 spots usually, but that is reduced by 4, so it's now 14 spots. We have 10 cards that we usually play, and so this gives us 2, so that means that'd be 11 units, and if we spawn in an extra copy apiece from getting the death blow on both these, then that's 13, which means we have 1 extra spot. We could get 1 additional death blow from a K20 Revenant, or we could go 1 portal, otherwise we're going to run out of space. So, all that is to say, board space is going to be coming at a premium here. Yikes. Pyrotechnician almost destroys itself with damage, which we honestly would probably like for it to do at this point. Is there anything else that's going to be beneficial or problematic? I mean, first means we don't have to play a unit. Yay! It also means we're losing 10 energy. Brand Warrior gets boosted if we do have to, or, I mean, not that we really have a way to destroy our own units voluntarily, but if they do get destroyed, then Brand Warrior could help us. I think it is just, we absolutely cannot play Germain at any cost. Otherwise, we might still dump Pit Fighter. At 8 points, it's okay, but okay, picking up Dogger's not bad. Well, I mean, I did kind of ask for it. To be fair, I did kind of ask for it. So, you know, I can't really complain. I think we may, in fact, go Necromancer's Tome first. I mean, we could wait and see if we play something else from our opponent's graveyards or our graveyard, but I'm not really sure how much damage they have. I know they at least do some boosting. I think we might just do this first. That way, we get the order abilities active on our next turn. We can immediately remove the stuff they get with their leader ability, which I think we're going to be able to do. But I don't remember his deck, really. Oh, Rayla's damage. Oh. Which, I mean, on one hand, I'm kind of happy about. On the other hand, I'm not kind of happy about. Wait, what? How did you get... What? Okay, hold on just a second here. What the heck? Spawn and play 2 Disgrace Knights. Whenever you play unit, boost up. Oh, spawn 2 copies of self on this row on deploy. Wow! That's a lot of knights. I mean, this is definitely going to be a good time for Masterful Thunder. No question about it. Also good time for the Revenants. Yes. Wow. Yeah, no, I think I missed the whole spawn 2 copies on deploy. They only use this ability once. Okay, yes, I think you gotta get rid of them immediately. So we can remove 1, remove 2, remove a bunch with leader ability. Man, if we had Philippa right now. Oh boy. All of them are gone. That would be amazing. This could still be decent though. Unfortunately, they're all in the range row. Well, I mean, Dogger can go in the range row, Vids. Dogger is not very locked in the melee row in Rogue Mage, unlike in multiplayer Gwent. So, you know what? I think that's what we will do here. So, what is our preferred way to line this up? If we go Masterful Thunder, we are guaranteed to get at a minimum 3 overkill damage, which means if we hit you, we're guaranteed to hit you and kill you all. So that's 3 for 1. Then we still have 2 1-powered Disgrace Knights, so we can destroy both of them with these Revenants. So I think that is the optimal way to go about doing this. Means Rayla remains unaddressed for the time being, which I don't love. But I think in the name of answering these Disgrace Knights, I think it's probably worth it. As I said, this is a lot of row space we're taking up here very quickly, which is a concern, but I guess throwing it to curse was kind of a good thing in some regards. And if you destroy some of our cards, that's actually kind of useful as well.
If the king demands a head, I'll give him yours.
They really want to boost up Rayla. We also have Rayla, which we would actually probably like to play as our next card. Otherwise, it would be which Apprentice is 2 points per turn because we're already at 25. We're already at 25 points on the board. So that's... Whereas this is... will be 2, possibly 3 points per turn if we're hitting something in the range row, which we could eventually do. Otherwise, might deliberately... Well, usually you'd want the death blow here. On the other hand, if they destroy our cards, or if we continue to flood our rows with more Revenants, then we are in trouble because we're going to run out of space. We might want Rayla to destroy a Revenant or 2. I guess we'll do... I'll go Witch Apprentice. Rayla is probably the right choice. This is kind of greedy, but I'll go for this.
Move those hooves! It'll both be ham!
Which row do we prefer having the extra Revenant in? I don't think it matters, technically speaking. So there's the extra Revenant. And you're getting boosted. And okay, I mean, I kind of actually want you to hit stuff. Or rather, remove stuff altogether. You're going to boost on both sides. We had you earlier, you would have been worth a whole lot of points as well. But, I mean, they might destroy this Revenant with their Rayla on the next turn. But that's really the only thing that could theoretically get destroyed here. So this is probably not urgent. I think now is probably the time to go with Black Rayla. And she actually counts as boosted. Oh, never mind. She shows up as green in her hand, but when we play her, she does not count as boosted from Warrior Standard, which I was going to say would have meant she'd be inspired, which actually is a way to make sure that she gets slightly more damage. But nope. Nope, not actually true. All right, so... Could use this, but it's just going to hit armor, and obviously we're not getting the death blow, so it's kind of just a useless order ability, so I think we wait on it. You're still going to get boosted every turn. Knock him defend. Yeah, it's basically all boosting stuff here. As I said, you terrify me. This has to be our last play, either that or Curse Scroll. Otherwise, we completely flood an entire row and can't do anything else in it. I think... So what do we... It's going to be really hard for you to not be inspired. Unless, wait, Ulfheden... maybe we let you get boosted, and at the very end we use Ulfhedden. And it probably won't be enough to remove your inspiredness, but it'll just be a chunk of damage at the very least. So, don't want to play you now. You do not have any, you do not have any bleed to set you up. I'm waiting on you. We could use you, and we might, if we're lucky, hit Anna Strenger. I think would probably be the best target, and then it would break through her armor, and she'd no longer be inspired, so she would only be boosting on one side of her, not two sides of her. Actually, this is going to be... If you didn't have all the armor, that would still be the better target for Ulfhedden. But otherwise, it's Ran Warrior, because we might see some stuff get destroyed soon. Yes, this is the safer bet.
Uh-oh.
We'll hit you, so I think you're potentially the best target for us to go after. Smoke Map just spawns in stuff. Ooh, I would rather you not destroy Rayla, though. Now it's Ran Warrior, for sure. The question is, do we try to set up anything for like a death blow here? Is potentially possible. We don't know where this is going to hit, but it could potentially facilitate some of that. Do we go with a leader ability of some variety and get more damage and do some of that stuff? I think we'll see what this hits. That is, I mean, just making it very clear that now that you don't have any armor, or you have one armor, much less armor, you're definitely going to be the Ulfhedden target. That was already going to be the case in all likelihood, but hit you once, remove the armor. Hit you twice, you're no longer inspired. No death blow, so no more stuff getting spawned in. But we might still settle for that, because that's one less point per turn for Anna Strenger. I could be convinced to go that route. Or we could boost Rayla with Cleanse, because I'm a little concerned she's going to get destroyed on her next turn. Maybe we do that. We play it a little more patiently. It's not that expensive. And we wait on this just because we might be able to do a little bit more. Well, it's more Smoke 'em out. More weak cards, that means. So, when hit you, you're no longer inspired. Which means we don't need to rely on you to do that. So we might be able to get the death blow again if we're patient. And now start to whittle away at one of these volunteers. Then we can maybe get the death blow and fill this row with one last volunteer. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. Volunteer would be 9, then it'd be full. Then 1, this is also 7. Means 8 and 9. We have exactly enough space here if we get one more death blow on this Kedwani Revenant. Otherwise, if we don't do that, we can go with one portal. I mean, Masterful Thunder would be kind of nice here, but that's perhaps over... I mean, they are in the lead. And this is going to be a 0-point play on our last turn. Need to be careful about that. We are going to get pretty high value Ulfhedden, but still might need to get a little more aggressive here. I'm hoping this is the last spell we'll need to use. And it destroys a bunch of cards, so that boosts up the Ran Warrior as well. So, okay. I'm hoping that puts us in a much better place here. Oh, we also haven't played our Guardian this turn. Oops. Okay, so we want to, if anything, keep a little more space here. In case we do get the death blow on you. Boost adjacent allied units. Unfortunately, Anna Strenger will get re-inspired in that case, but that means we are definitely going to go after her here. And so... now I think it's Germain here, and we're just deliberately doing it in a row that is going to get filled by Germain alone, because at this point, 1-point cows are not helping us.
We'll defend our homes, no matter what.
Okay, that's not too powerful. Okay, so we have a very, very slim lead here. This, actually, technically speaking, should be the turn in which we use Curse. because the longer we wait to use Ulfhedden, the stronger he becomes. So, should do this. That's gonna hurt. That's gonna hurt energy-wise. I was not really thinking about that when I was thinking about using our spells earlier, but hey, I mean, still a close match. We definitely needed to do something. So, I mean, you two are equally easy or difficult, however you want to look at it. Glass half empty or full to destroy. But it's, at this point, going to be kind of tough to make that happen. We have what? I think it's one more battle and one more event or something like that, and then we have a place of power after this. We've at least one more battle. We have gotten rid of our curse now, but, you know, how much of this energy can we blow through in this encounter? I'm not sure. I'm not sure. So I'm getting a little greedy here. Selkirk is potentially worth a lot of value if they can get a good target to duel, which they probably will. Dogger would be the best option. I think we're still looking to use Ulfhedden on you. I think we're portaling here. We do have one more spot as long as we're not going with the death blow on you. I'm looking for... well, that's not bad at all. Damage by the number of cards to the left. And that would be 7, I believe, which is almost enough to remove Selkirk. And at 1, I mean, we could remove him with... we get the death blow on you, but this is going to take up all of our board space if we do that, so no, we're not going to. I'm just going to remove you with Black Rayla. Okay, I think we'll be fine if we do this. I mean, that was why we did this investment. Let's just make sure we put you in the right spot. It is number of cards to the left is damage, so we put you here. Rotate you. Then we finish you off here. That boosts Dogger, it boosts you as well. Then we're going to just hit you a little bit, and we're going to use Ulfhedden to demolish Black Rayla for 8 damage. So, I don't know what their last card is, I don't know what their finisher is, but with as large a lead as we have here, I would like to believe that we're in decent shape. We spent a lot of energy to make it happen, though. That is really the big cost. Yeah, the Scytheman would be a big finisher if they had more boosted units, but not enough to catch us. Alright, still difficult, for sure. We are blowing through energy at an alarming rate. But it is one more enemy down. And what can we add? It would be, no thank you, Entrega Eggs. It's completely useless to us. Or we can remove Witch Apprentice. I mean, it isn't a boosting, or it isn't a damaging card, so it's not really synergistic, but it has been reasonably effective for us. So, it's not our best card by any means, but it's in the top, maybe top third, certainly at least the top half of our deck. So I don't love getting rid of it. Add a bad card. Remove a decent card. How many cards do we have? Gross. Re-roll for 3 energy, but I'd rather not really do that either, given how much energy we just ate through. I think we might be removing the Witch Apprentice. Not happy about it, but I don't really think we have a choice in the matter, because I'm pretty sure, yeah, we still have one more battle, and then it's a place of power.
To see a man of purpose twisted and corrupted by the path he chose. I bet he didn't even see his own downfall.
Okay. Yeah, so this battle, we'd like to avoid spending much energy there. Yes, we can get some back, but we are already on low energy. So, yeah, then we have a few places of power, though, but then it's going to be an elite battle. So it's going to get spicy pretty quickly here. Angered Treant, another enemy we just haven't fought that often, so I don't remember what the deal is with you. But every battle, Pit Fighter gets stronger, so if nothing else, we are making that improvement, and he starts in our hand every match, so at 11 points, he is almost certainly worth keeping here. What is your deal? Symbiosis, really? I did not remember that being the case. For you? At the end of your turn, boost all allied treants by 1 for each Dryad adjacent to them. So basically, you're going to be playing a bunch of nature cards and getting a bunch of treants, and the Dryads are going to make those treants stronger. So we want to remove Dryads. Is going to be our objective here for the most part. could remove some treants with 10-20 Revenants fairly easily. So that is an option, or, you know, whatever we happen to get in our graveyard or their graveyard. Arcane, I mean, unless we happen to get Bleeding. No, Germain. Get out of here, Germain. Okay, honestly, removing Germain would be amazing. I would love that. But, let's see. We could go Pyrotechnician first, and then just explode for 4 damage and destroy something on our next turn. But at the end of your turn, boost all allied treants by 1 for each Dryad adjacent to them. So if they... Just not sure how rapidly they can make those things happen. Because if they get a Dryad first, but no treants, you could potentially destroy that Dryad with Pyrotechnician. If they get treants first, but no Dryad, we could potentially destroy those treants with the Revenants. If we don't think there's going to be anything we can immediately destroy, then we should put Grand Warrior first so we get boosted long term when we do that type of destruction. I think it's Pyrotechnician. And it might be Grand Warrior next turn to get boosted when we use Pyrotechnician, and then it's Necromancer's Tome, and they hopefully... well, we might be forced into playing something from their graveyard then, which would be kind of unfortunate. Does that mean we have to go Necromancer's Tome? Fine. It might. It might. I'm expecting Dryad and no Treant this turn, yeah.
Mother Earth, I grant you my life.
Yeah.
You it came, to you it returns.
Okay. So... You don't have Zeal, though, so we can't get this damage immediately. You guys don't have enough damage to remove this Dryad, but, I mean, you wouldn't have either, because we gave them the 2 starting armor. So... What is the best course of action, then? You get boosted if you have Vitality. Vitality is the opposite of Bleed, so if we give you Bleed, it's going to be harder for you to get Vitality. But you also have Symbiosis, which means you're going to spawn in Treants. And those Treants are going to get up to 2 power if they're next to this Hamadryad. Which means, I mean, we could collectively, between these 2 Revenants, destroy 1 Treant. Yeah? Okay. Save you for the Treant. Which I assume is coming out this turn. No, not quite. It's more Dryads. And boosting Dryads in this case. Rayla is more damage. Which I think we will want. It's just that we can't quite get it quickly enough unless we're gonna, you know, do a Masterful Thunder, which is becoming kind of tempting. Rayla long term. It's best to play her early. This is the biggest burst of short-term damage, though. It still takes a turn before we can do it. But I think it kind of has to be Rayla. My question is, do we Masterful Thunder here? Might not. It's unlikely that we remove this Dryad, but if we weaken it enough, it is possible to remove it with one of these Revenants, which could be decent value. And we do have... no, we do not have Grand Warrior on the board yet. I'd like to have him on the board before we do that. That might be next turn. Might be what we do next turn. Surely they're gonna play a... Oh, no. More damage this time, and immediate damage. Going after Rayla. Okay. Dogger. That's another card that gets boosted from the damage. Which is a little bit easier to set up than the Grand Warrior is. Okay. I think in that case I was going to go Grand Warrior here, but I guess we go with Dogger instead. And we really need the damage to start happening. You get healed when you move back to the Ranger on the next turn, right? Same as multiplayer Gwent? Yeah, same as multiplayer Gwent. So... I think that means... I mean, you're the easiest to destroy, but you have the bleed, so you're going to take damage already from that. it's probably most likely to be overkill. You're in the middle, which means you're going to take any overkill damage, but you have armor and you're going to heal off any damage that you take when you move back to the other row. I mean, you're boosted anyway, so I guess that doesn't matter too much. You're more valuable long-term, I think, as you have lead. So I think it's going to be Masterful Thunder on you. Okay, and then it is enough to get the death blow. In fact, we have a little more damage than that. So what if we just go there and go there, and we save you and maybe get the death blow on you later? Okay, there's the first nature card they've played. Okay, that's an odd card for them to choose. Also, it spawned in the row that was not next to the Helmet Dryad, so that's cool. And we do have enough to remove you, so we might choose to do that. Arcane, you do still have a bleeding unit, so we could go that route. I think we might go Grand Warrior here, though, because we are planning to destroy you on this turn, I believe. We go here, and we get this death blow. We save you for a potential death blow in the future. Now, we're going to run out of space if we do that every turn, but we want to... It is worth more points. So it is nice when we can do it. And you might destroy this. You probably will destroy this. Well, it depends who you're going to use this damage on. No, on the Rare Warrior. That's kind of a weird one. Okay, so we could destroy this Helmet Dryad now, if we use this combination of damage. I do like. Also go Boat Builders here, and we don't have any bleed anymore. Arcane, you're not really a card that we're too focused on, but yeah, that's why we're not really optimizing for that. Feel like we might need to Boat Builders to give ourselves more armor, because we are taking a fair bit of damage. Then again, if they destroy stuff, we don't have that much space. And we are not going to get Germain, thankfully. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11. We have 18 spots total, which means we have 7 left, which means we have plenty of room. Yeah, okay, so that's not really an issue, and we can even spawn in more with our Kidwarding Revenants if we would like. So, I think we will, in that case, protect a bit with Boat Builders.
Hey, warranties of that soul. 3 times they warranties.
I think Rayla's more valuable than Grand Warrior is, and Grand Warrior can get boosted from us destroying stuff, whereas the same cannot be said of Black Rayla. So let's go here, hit once, hit twice, boost you up a little bit, save you again. Might be able to destroy this Helmet Dryad on our next turn. Be nice, of course, to get rid of some of their Dryads. There is another nature card, though. What do they go for? It's Boat Builders. Okay, which means that, once again, we could get the death blow. So that is still an option. We want to go that route? You're probably going to end up being the Ulf-Hedden target by the looks of things. Should probably get... Yeah, it's going to be Pyrotechnician this turn, I think. Get you down.
A wee hint. Dunny jiggle this.
So we have 4 more spots remaining by the looks of things, and we have 3 cards here, so we could get 1 more death blow here if we would like to. You have 3 HP, so if we hit you with, or 1 HP, 2 armor, and you potentially have, well, you have the Symbiosis, which is what making these Treants worth 2 points rather than just 1. So you are more of an engine than you are, for sure. So I think it is probably still worth hitting once, breaking one of the order abilities on a Revenant, and then getting the death blow on the other. Let's... I guess it doesn't matter too much which one it is. Armor to... Yes, Pyrotechnician, since it's going to hurt itself when it uses its order ability. Bov, play a special from their deck. It's probably a nature card, but we got rid of some of their Symbiosis, so that's going to give them another card. And it's another Dryad. But by removing their other Dryads,
You see?
I'm hoping that that means... Okay, well, will they get rid of boat builders? Hoping that that means it's not going to be that valuable. Well, I mean, we were doing really well for a while there, but that was a big play for sure. And you are going to stay over here next to those guys. And you are an engine. So do we remove one of them? Well, we don't know what this is going to hit, is one issue. Arcane is just a 6-point body, which is not great. But I guess we're doing that here. We'd like to save Ulfheden to see if other people get bigger. And you are going to be when you move next to Dryad Matron. So I think... Yeah, I think we just do this and see what this hits. Okay, I don't even remember what that was. Is it you? No, it was Fav, right? Okay, I mean, I guess it was. It was a Dryad. Wasn't really thinking about going after you, but sure. Then it's not quite enough damage to remove. Actually, you're going to be really hard to remove because you're still going to be next to this Dryad Matron at the end of the turn, whereas you will not be. So we could remove you and set up one more boost on Fran Warrior. So this 1 point better. I mean, yes, removing you means it's one less. All right, you wouldn't be getting the boost from Dryad Matron, but if we remove you, then you're still going to get that boost there. No death blow, so we shouldn't do this yet. And we also, I don't think, have room anymore. Oh, yeah, okay, it's going to be Pit Fighter in this turn then. Oh, or Arcane. Either one. Just saving Ulfheden for last is the most important part.
There. Now let them dangle.
Ooh, okay. Fair enough. Just hoping to maybe get one more death blow, but okay, they're being smart about their Dryad placement. I wasn't sure to what extent they were gonna, you know, actually make a point of putting Dryads in between Treants, but they have. So now we do have a little bit more room for whatever that's worth. But yeah, it's basically just hitting something for the sake of hitting something. Definitely not gonna get any death blows at this point, not unless we feel like we're gonna spend more aggressively here, but I think we'd like to not have to do that. And we have a decent enough lead here. Shaping Nature is just a pure boost. Please put it on you. So just want this to be huge and get maximum value out of Ulfheden. I think that is still the best target for it. Oh, true, and dealing the damage here in this melee row is going to give extra value for Dogger, which we should have made more of a point of doing for some of those turns, I think, but they are going to get one boost from Vitality. It's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 boosts from being next to Dryads. So they're going to be, what, like mid-50s, which means their last card needs to be worth 12-ish points. Don't think they can do that. Well, what about Great Oak? Great Oak. I mean, they do have a bunch of Treants in their deck, right? Great Oak would be the best possible card. I don't remember if they have Great Oak, but it would make sense for that to be their finisher. And if they do have that, then they probably would win. So I think we might need to still play here. I think we might need to do that, but in that case, what are we going for? This Cleanse is not a big deal. I'm not sure that would be enough to make a difference. Masterful Thunder. Melee row would support Dogger, but that's just 1 bonus point, and if we deal damage to you, you can heal it off on their next turn when that moves up to the range row. You have armor, so you're not a great target to go for anyway. You're not going to get the overkill damage on either of you, so you're not going to hit adjacent units. Range row, no Dogger boost, but could get the death blow and boost you up. Could get overkill damage, spilling over to adjacent units, which wouldn't really do much for you, because that's probably just going to hit your armor. But this 7-point Treant, I mean, or this one, I mean, if we remove either of them, that's also one card that's not getting the boost from being next to Dryads. So I think we might try to get rid of you. Perfect, because yeah, you're going to get boosted 2 times over from being next to Dryads, so even if this is Great Oak, I think we're still good here. I'm not sure if it will be, but I was fearful that it could have been. It was not. Okay, we were fine. So we just used energy that we didn't need to use, and we are running very low on energy. But I think we had to play it safe there. I don't remember if they have Great Oak, but Yeah, that just was not a risk we could afford to take, because if we had seen it, then they would have just won and it would have been game over. Okay, so... Olgierd. 10 points, can't change power. So can't get damaged, can't get boosted. Basically just a point slam. Kind of similar, in a way, to Pit Fighter, although Pit Fighter is now all the way up to 13, and then it's... I mean, there are also point slams. Pit Fighter can get boosted and damaged, but, you know, just in terms of just big base power. Remove Boat Builders. I mean, it isn't necessarily a card that directly synergizes with what we're trying to do, but it does help us protect things that are important to stay on the board, like Rayla, like Dogger, and whatnot. So I think we would like to keep this in the deck. And, I mean, Olgierd, it's not a bad card. It's not necessarily doing much to help us do our damage things, but it's not like we'll be... More often than not, it's not as if we'd be mad to see Olgierd. Fortunately now, we do have the opportunity to get energy, and I think that is what we need to do here, because we are running way too low to do anything else. It's still only going to get us up to, what, 32? That is not a lot. Still not a lot. I'd like to say that our deck is getting stronger so that, you know, in the future we won't need to use as much energy, but it's not huge improvements here, and we still have this elite battle that is going to be staring us down. So that is a scary thought. This treasure chest, for that reason, is probably very important. Vial of Forbidden Knowledge, I'm not sure we ever had it before. Gain 7 energy, and downgrade a random allied unit in your deck by 1. Charge 13. The number of charges is not reset in between battles. So it's a way of getting energy at the cost of weakening your units. We still have a curse in our deck. Thought we added one at one point that we not yet had the chance to remove. Or no, we did that in a battle or two ago. Okay, so at least we don't have that nasty surprise waiting to mess with us. I mean, what happens if we try to reduce the base power on Redanian Knight? Because I think we tried to do that before and it still stayed at 1. So is that basically free energy in that case? That could be amazing. Oh, also, damage or base power? Downgrade a random allied unit in your deck by 1. I think that would still affect Olgierd. So I think the preferred target would be Redanian Knight, and I think that does mean that it doesn't actually get affected. Otherwise, it'd be at 0. I mean, it'd be kind of hilarious if it did. Can we get it to negative? That'd be kind of cool, but all right. I think that could actually be an amazing addition for that reason. Oh, what? We have 5 or more treasures in our deck? 1, 2, 3. Oh, because we got multiple from that encounter in which we got Glorious Standard and the Hedge Knight. So that was, in fact, an achievement that we were talking about quite recently, right? We were saying that perhaps you'd have to do a dedicated run to make that happen. I thought that was going to be the case, but wait. It's still... Oh, and wait. Pit Fighters want 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Yeah. Yeah. I guess so. All right, if nothing else, I suppose we can check that one off the list. So now we have one more battle before we get to another place of power. So hope here is that we don't have to spend too much energy. Then we can either spend energy here, or maybe just by using that Vial of Forbidden Knowledge, we will be less in need of restoring energy here. And yellow is... Does that transform into a random card? Which is kind of sort of a way of getting rid of a card that you don't like, but you don't know if it's going to turn into something better. So, I mean, that may or may not be something we're looking to do. Do we have a... This is Duplicate, which if we are basically just weighing whether we get energy here or here, and, you know, that basically means do you prefer transforming a random card or duplicating a card of your choice, or transforming into a random card or duplicating a card of your choice. That is definitely better. But we're getting ahead of ourselves. Let's battle next. Bounty Hunter. Statuses that give damage, right? Okay, let's see. So, Pit Fighter at this point at 14 power is definitely not bad. Grand Warrior, so he's a damage deck, basically. And there is a hard version, but we did not get it, thankfully. Damage enemy unit by 1, increase the damage by 1 for each marked enemy. So yeah, the more statuses with this mark they get, the stronger they become. Cooldown 2, so he's doing it every other turn. I think the hard version is what? It might be every single turn. but at turn end, mark a random unmarked enemy unit. So the marks keep on happening, and that means the damage keeps on getting bigger every turn. So what I don't remember is what they have at least some cards I think that give us marks, and then they have some cards that deal extra damage to units that have statuses. I don't remember what, and they probably just have other cards that give us statuses in general, like bleed. I think that's what he does, which means something like Ulf Hedden, although has been very effective in previous encounters, might not be that good here if they're not going to do much in the way of boosting, unless they have Thirsty Dame that gets boosted every time they apply a status to us. That could get pretty big because there's obviously going to be a lot of statuses. So maybe we do hold on to you. And Fran Warrior, if you are not going to get destroyed, then a lot of cards are going to get destroyed, both on our side and on their side, so this could be pretty big. Definitely going to get rid of Arcane, though. Olgierd, actually amazing in this encounter. And as long as he doesn't get locked, and I don't remember if they have lock or not, he can't get damaged. So that is basically a hard counter on a 10-point body, which is pretty nice. So, and Dogger, if we can keep him alive, is obviously potentially worth a lot, although we don't have much in the way of damage to support him right now. Make a case for getting rid of Dogger, to tell you the truth. In fact, I think we do. Okay, here's more damage as well. Oh, and Philippa is another card that has 1 base power that couldn't get weakened, and so has only gotten stronger when we did that trade to reduce the base power but add Glorious Standard. So yeah, both of these cards I think have proved that point. So we probably do just start with Olgierd, right? Because they'll try to give, they might even every turn, they might try to give him a mark because he's going to continue to be a unit that is unmarked. So I think we do that. Again, lock would be the biggest concern with him. And I think we do this as well. So we can do it. We do this every turn. I thought we could only do this once per match for some reason. So if we do this, oh, it's we don't get to choose? I thought we got to choose. Downgrade a random allied unit. Oh, darn. Okay, I don't know what it was. I think it might have been Rayla. It's not Boat Builders. It's not you. It's Panther? No, it's Panther. Okay. So be it. I think we were in need of energy. So, and we can do this indefinitely. In your deck as well. And unfortunately, the 2 cards that we would like to be doing this to are both in our hand. So yeah, I think this is not the right time to be doing this. This encounter is not the right encounter to be doing this. But, okay. We played our card, though. That's interesting, though. That is interesting. Yeah, so this marks. But that shouldn't work on Olgierd. It will work on you. It shouldn't work on you. How do we feel about Revenants? How do we feel about Revenants? Don't have the Death Blow here. Don't think they're going to have very many strong units. So for that reason, I think that eventually we'll have some things we can go after, but now is maybe not the right time. Earlier we played Retaining Net, the better, but this is a card that is going to, when it gets damaged, get shut down. So, yes, we'll give it a shot. Either that or we go Grand Warriors and assume that something's going to get destroyed pretty soon. I think we still do this first, though. Yeah, so you can't get damaged, whether it be from Mark or from Bleed, so that's fine. And Bleed does not go through Mark. Or rather, Bleed does not go through armor. Mark does hit armor, I assume. Germain. No good. You are now going to be our last play. Because you take up too much space. So it's going to be Brand Warrior, though. Because we are expecting some things will get destroyed at some points. Okay, you're gonna deal some damage, probably remove the armor on you. Grand Warrior is almost dead. Almost dead. So... Panther, melee row, 2 damage. Not enough, obviously. Range row, eventually enough damage, but not as if it's gonna destroy something quickly enough to keep Grand Warrior alive. That's basically what I'm wondering. Oh, well, Philippa would be the best way to destroy stuff quickly. I guarantee we get at least 1 kill initially, and then it's what? The 4 damage on you, then that means it's 6 damage spread randomly across you two, which if all of that happens at 1 target, then it would destroy 2 of them. Or rather, it would destroy you and 1 other for a total of 2 deaths in 1 turn. But that's pretty unlikely still. So, I mean, how much do we care about you? Old Geared is just a champ. We'd kind of like Necromancer's Tome. Probably combined with Philippa. Well, I mean, we don't know how exactly Philippa's going to spread the damage, but maybe we go Panther first, get bleed. We'll settle for if Grand Warrior gets destroyed, because he will definitely get destroyed here, I think.
What is it?
Does he boost himself when he gets destroyed? No. Obviously not. Okay. So... point was that now you're gonna drop pretty low and get into removal range for... no longer for the Grand Warrior, but more so now for the Kid-20 Revenants. So, and then you can also hit pretty hard as well. I think we might be looking at doing this now. Oh, except now we have you in there, and it's only 1 card. So that was not the right time. I forgot that it's not just Kid-20 Revenants all the time. Kid-20 Revenants is in fact supposed to be the downside. Like, it is a Grand Warrior that is actually about to get boosted by you getting destroyed by that bleed. Would have preferred, of course, for it to have been probably a Kid-20 Revenant and that Redani Knight as well. But I suppose we deserve that. Anything else we'd like to do? Do we need to cleanse you to get you out of removal range this time? I don't know. I mean, now, again, you're gonna get destroyed, you're gonna get boosted. You're going to get destroyed pretty soon, and we can use Philippa perhaps even on our next turn, or maybe Pyrotechnician, set up some more removals soon. I mean, we could always use energy and be more aggressive with the Vial, who's living a little bit dangerously, but I don't think you're going to get removed in 1 turn, right? Famous last words. Famous last words, of course. It is damage.
I like the way you die, human.
And it is almost enough. It is very nearly almost enough. Okay. In that case, why don't we Philippa now? Because I don't really think we have an alternative. We'd like to get rid of you, because you are gonna deal damage with some regularity. We don't know if we're gonna have enough damage to destroy you, though. We will, though. Okay, so it's enough to boost you a little bit. The bleed will destroy you, but we do not have random damage from Philippa take you out. So we want to boost you up more. We would have to destroy this giant Viper. Would mean we'd have to go Masterful Thunder. Likely to get some overkill damage, which would, in all likelihood, just hit Truviel's armor, which is eh. I mean, we have enough cards getting destroyed that Germain might actually be remotely useful. And it doesn't look like they have anything that gets boosted based on number of statuses, so as we thought might be the case, Ulfhedden looks like it's going to be pretty low value here. But, okay. I think we do it. Might be overkill. Might be overreacting. It is not. It is not overkill damage, though. Wow, so don't even hit Truviel's armor. It is 4 points of damage, 1 boost on Grand Warrior. I think we'll settle for that for now. Okay, that. 4 points I would love if you did it on old. I don't think it works on old gear, but it will hit you for your base power, which is 3. So that's not enough to kill you yet, technically speaking. Jermaine, actually, spawning in a bunch of cows that could get destroyed would potentially make it easier to boost up Grand Warrior. So there is perhaps something to be said for that, and we would still have room in the other row to play all of our other stuff because of all the killing that's been happening. So I think we do go Jermaine here, actually.
We'll defend our homes, no matter what.
Won't have room to spawn in the extra cow, but, you know, that's... We have enough cows already, I think. And... don't really think there's much else we're looking for here. What do we still have in our deck? Because we don't have much left. Ugh, except they're pretty good cards. So I was going to say that might be an opportunity. We would love to find times where the only things that are in our deck near the, or the some of the only things in our deck near the end of a match are stuff like Rotating Knight and Philippa, and then you just go crazy with Vial of Forbidden Knowledge because that's the perfect opportunity to, on many occasions, basically just get free energy from it. But we probably don't want to be weakening Dogger, Boat Builders, or Rayla. Wouldn't be the end of the world if Garcane got weakened, but, you know, that's a 75% chance that that does backfire, so rather not go that route now. Oh, that was enough? That shouldn't have been enough. I object. That was supposed to be 3 damage, and it did 5. I object. When does Mark deal damage? Whenever a unit with this status receives damage. Oh, that's why. That's why. Yeah. Fair enough, I suppose. Fair enough.
Have you seen a fuse lying about, have you?
Ooh. Don't remember what this is. Do not remember what this is. Just kind of scary. And if you had survived one more turn, once again, you probably would have gotten a lot of boosts because this, I mean, this won't kill anything, in fact, but, I mean, these cows are starting to get weakened, and pretty good chance that one of them goes down, or multiple of them go down. So, okay, drop you down to 3. There's nothing next to, oh, there's 2 traps? No, that trap is not to reveal. Don't let that fool you. Nor is it you. Okay, we do still need to play something this turn. What trap is it? If it's going to damage everything in a row, then obviously if it hits this, it would hit this. That'd be a lot of removal, which is why having that Brand Warrior would be really nice right about now. It really doesn't seem like there's anything big for Ulfhedden to go after. I mean, there's a chance this trap boosts, but it's unlikely. So I think we just go Ulfhedden, and I mean, I think it's actually best on to reveal, which is kind of sad. So I think that rounds up to 2. Which is pretty darn lackluster. What are these, though? Stop playing traps! I don't know how, I don't remember what they are. So I don't know how to, they are gonna hit everything in a row. Okay. Or at least that one is. We did have a lot of stuff in that row. So that hurts, but we deliberately saved Pit Fighter for last because that is a 14-point slam, which is pretty solid at this point in the game. But is it enough? Is it enough for these 2 traps? There is a trap that boosts cards, boosts adjacent cards when we pass, and it's what, 4 points worth of boost on each side for a total of 8. So if that's 8 points, and this is, who knows, then, well, yeah, we need to get pretty aggressive here, it looks like, in some way, shape, or form. Let's portal, because Thunder does not really have any good targets. They've spread out their units, and for the most part, they're pretty low power and have armor outside of Truvial, but again, nothing to kill with the overkill damage, so it's not really useful. So I think we do this, and we're just looking for basically pure points. Which might have to be Yavalok. Putting a weather effect for 3 turns, which is going to be 1 damage no matter what. At best, we're just hitting to reveal once. I mean, but if that removes a card when this was perhaps about to boost adjacent cards, that actually might be worth a lot more than 1 point. So that might be deceptively good. So I think we do go Avalock.
It's time.
Not going to row stack, so we want to make sure that we hit... Guarantee that we hit to reveal. So Rain hits 2 random units, right? And they only have 2 units in this row, so that should guarantee that it hits to reveal. Alternatively, Impenetrable Fog hits the lowest unit, so that would also work. I'm going to guess get rid of the armor on you while we're at it. And then let's put you here. So again, we're not row stacking that much. And we'll see if it's good enough. I mean, again, I don't think we want to use this vial at the moment. Largely comes down to what are these traps, and obviously what is that last card as well. Is that gonna... Oh, what? It triggers first? No, I object. I object. Oh, just barely. Just barely. Oh, man. That was a close one. That was a close one. Action means the other rain effect would have been slightly better, but still. Narrowly walked away with the win there. Nekker is 5 points, 4 boosts. 9 points total, but not really working with what we're trying to do here. We have to. I think we have to. On that encounter, it actually kind of worked, but I think that is going to be a very, very rare opportunity for us to sneak in Jermaine, and for the most part, he is just a hindrance, given how little row space we have. So I think we were looking for an opportunity to dump him, and that is it. So now we're walking into a place of power. We have 27 energy, which is not good, but it's not abysmal either. The key thing is that we do technically have a way to get more energy from our Vial of Forbidden Knowledge. Is that reason enough to not take energy here and try to transform a card? If we were to do that, what would we transform? It would... well, it would be probably Redanian Knight, but that's a card that we would like to be the recipient of the reduced base power from Vial of Forbidden Knowledge. It's going to be kind of hard to make that happen, but... was it Rayla who got... Maybe it was Rayla. I think it was Rayla who got it before, because she was definitely not a 3 previously. What did I think it was? I thought it was Panther. Oh, we've used it multiple times, though, didn't we? We used it more than once. So it hit Rayla at least once, possibly twice, and it definitely hit Panther. So that would probably... And Pyrotechnician is... well. Oh, no, but remember, everything here is showing up as 1 less than it would normally show up as, because we took that deal that reduced everyone's base power. Yeah. So you have not been hit by it once. You might have, though. Definitely Rayla at least once. So is it worth doing this? It would be, I think, still you... Or Garcane. It'd be Garcane, I think. Basically just a 5-point or 6-point body once you factor in the boost from you. What's more valuable? Maybe we're willing to bet on the Vial, at least a little bit here, but don't we have... Oh no, what? Oh my gosh, Lids, what the heck? Was that an achievement for skipping a place of power? I thought that was just a look at the map. I thought that was just look at the map. I was about to say, don't we have another place of power over here coming up soon? Because we do. Well, that was not the intention. Well, who needs places of power, right? Okay, I mean, maybe we'll get that event that gives us potentially humongous power at the cost of, what, adding 2 curses to our deck? Yeah, definitely would have liked to have taken the power in that case. Okay. I guess we don't have a choice in the matter anymore. It's Ruins, lose 5 energy, 10% chance of gaining a treasure. Absolutely not. Not after what we just did. Not after... Oh, man. Now it's an elite battle. Well, I did it to myself. I did it to myself. So, you know... Who is it? It's Mountain King. It's probably the weakest of the elite enemies, for what it's worth. So at least there's that. Oh boy. Oh boy. Obviously, we start with Pit Fighter. He's a 17 at this point, which is good. That's good. Dogger. So this guy has a lot of Thrive and has some damage as well. So if we can remove stuff aggressively with our damage, that is probably the best way to go about doing it. But if we don't have enough damage to remove something, it just makes it easier for them to trigger that Thrive. So then it backfires. So we need a lot of damage, and we need a lot of damage quickly. So if we can get Dogger and go with some leader ability charges, that could work. It means we'd like a lot of energy right about now. I mean, we could use that vial to get more energy, but yeah, I think we're dumping you. This could work. Nice, but we might not be able to afford the luxury of not getting aggressive with damage. Okay. Remember, we might not get the K20 Revenants for this. So we had that little mishap in the previous encounter as well. So it has not been the cleanest past several encounters, really, whether it be events or battles. But boost all units in your hand and deck by 1. Do this every other turn. That helps them get higher power to trigger the Thrives, and then finishes usually with, I always forget his name, the guy who increases the hand boosting of everyone else. So, first things first. Do we go Dogger in anticipation of dealing damage on our next turn? Possibly. Also, if we were to use the Vial, we have a chance of hitting Redanian Knight. That would be ideal. Or Garcane wouldn't be that bad. Wouldn't be that averse to it hitting either of you two. So you know it's not that bad right now. We honestly might get very aggressive with it right here and right now. We go Dogger. We do need to guess what row they're going to put things in, but I think they're going to have a lot of stuff. So that's not that much of a concern. I think we do this. Remember these numbers. Boat Builders. Panther. And do one more. Rayla. Not great. Not great who got hit by that. Panther we're okay with, but the other two are cards that we like to have, and we'd like to have them pretty strong. But it does mean we've made up for some of the energy that we lost. Lids, how did that happen, you ask? Well, do I have a story for you. Okay, Hawker Smuggler gives them hand boosting, so we would like to remove that.
Just for you, love.
And we could, Oathheadin as a finisher could be fantastic. Philippa does have enough damage to remove you. It's a slight overkill. In this case, she has 10 damage total, and this would be 9 to remove you. But honestly, we might take that, and it does mean decent boosts for Dogger still, and quickly getting him more out of removal range. So the earlier we get rid of you, the better. I think we'd still go for it. I think we go for it. And it's an opportunity to not need to be using energy on this turn, which I think is also a nice thing to be able to do. Warbear. These are the ones that are probably the most significant when it comes to the more of them they have, the more powerful they become. There is the Panther that we have weakened substantially. So, at the end of turn, boost self by 1. Okay, not amazing. But if they also control another one, they also damage a random enemy unit by 1. At that point, that's pretty solid. It's not amazing, but it's pretty decent. Now, we could perhaps just drop an old gear down here and say, oh, okay, you know, just take our chances on it maybe hitting you. Ooh. Okay, not yet, because we can get 2 if we wait. But that is an intriguing option to consider. Do we leader ability on you? Perhaps. Bleeding is never going to outpace your self-boosting. It's basically just going to cancel that out. So you'll stay at 6 power. It does mean that's a great way to just long-term give Dogger a source of boosts. But is that going to help us remove you? Which seems like that is still our objective here. think it's gonna have to be. It's gonna have to be this either way. And depending on how low you go, well, that's not what we wanted. Okay, then. I was really hoping you were gonna drop down to 2 and go, okay, well, we just go Panther in the melee row and remove you. Easy peasy. Not anymore. Not anymore, I'm afraid. So... lead to set up Dogger it is. Need more Vial of Forbidden Knowledge at this point. We lost our Panther in our deck, so it is a higher probability of hitting Rayla. Also higher probability of hitting one of you. I might still do it here. Rayla is a 3. Don't want that to go down. I probably just jinxed. I did, in fact, just jinx it. We're gonna have to remove Rayla at this rate. In fact, can Rayla even go lower? Because she's only a 2 because she's getting the empowerment from Glorious Standard. Tell you what. That means we might as well do that. Is that Garcane? I think it was. Okay, you know, we'll take it. We'll take it. 56 energy? We'll take it. Nekker, Thrive, obviously. Removing one of those with damage, so we can play one ourselves is interesting. Oh, look at that! It's almost as if we were about to draw into Rayla and weren't going to have to risk having this weaken Rayla. But I thought, you know, the chances were we were going to draw into another bad card because we had more bad cards than good cards in our deck. And that was just going to make it more likely that Rayla was going to be the one that gets weakened. And I initially wasn't even thinking we were going to do this anymore in this round, or in this encounter than I did on the previous turn, because I was feeling a little bit risky. But, Rayla does technically give us damage the earlier we play her. So it should either be Rayla or the warrior. Would like to remove you. She is guaranteed for us to have enough damage. So that means you are guaranteed to get boosted this turn. We are to go this and leader ability. Then we can use you to get the hand boosting. And you to get the Thrive. I think we do this. Although we did want to go after you, and we may still try to do that later on once we get Rayla down here, wanted to set up this spawn 2 copies of self. Don't they have something that boosts all units on the board? Which is why, although these guys don't seem all that helpful, they just help flood. You're also useless. At this point, I would have loved if it was like just you and you in the deck, which almost happened. Then we just go crazy with this. But alas, no more. So, either Rayla or this. In fact, we probably should do that first. Don't we play 2? Play 2 units. If both graveyards are empty, spawn a kid when you're event, so we should be getting both of them. Yeah. Actually, the other order was going to be preferable, then we could have procced the Thrive immediately. We'll spawn a second copy. Yeah, should have done the other order. I wanted the hand boosting to potentially set up Rayla. It's one of the reasons why I did that a little bit earlier. Because now Rayla, although she's weak, is technically inspired. And she procs this Thrive. And they are starting to get more engines on the board than I would like to see. So, do we go after Nekker? Do we try to remove this Warbear altogether? It's the last turn it has the lead on it. I mean, they almost certainly, they have multiple Warbears in their deck. I'm surprised they haven't played another one already. So this will become 2 points per turn. This is at best 1 point per turn. This also powers up Dogger. Yes, technically speaking, it is better value to go after you. Order of operations wise, I don't know if the bleed activates first or that boost does, but at best you're staying on 1 power, probably. unless they have other ways to boost you, which they might be able to do. And so Rayla could finish you off next turn. Old Spirit Tip is definitely going to trigger Thrive at the very least. Okay, yeah, you do stand 1 power. Then, I mean, you're going to be a pretty solid target for Ulfhen, but I think we'll have other stuff we can use that on later. You're useless. Just 5 points. We can play you whenever. But you might tank some damage if they have anything else that's going to hit us at some point, so I guess we probably well, except for Thrive purposes, we should ramp up more slowly. Technically, I think Ulfen's not going to trigger these Thrives by the time we're getting around to playing him, but so be it. Yeah, in that case, it doesn't matter.
The moment. I need to smoke.
Okay, I think we remove you. Yes, it's technically overkill damage because you do have Inspiration, so it's 2 damage every turn now. But remove what would be an engine and gives you a boost and gives you a boost. We'll take it and could get stronger if they are about to play another Warbear, which at this point they very well may. You're really strong, that's all I remember. Damage stuff. A lot. Like a whole lot. Split damage equals the number of boosted units on the battlefield randomly between enemy units. Oh. Ow. You're no longer inspired. I think now it is, and, well, now we can trigger Thrive from... Wow, you'll get triggered on Thrive from that Ulfhen. You may not, but... It's you next. We're going to finish with Pit Fighter. Can we do anything with you? I think... We hit you. And if we want to go Thunder, you're the preferred target. Because we might get overkill damage. And it probably won't do much, but might get the death blow. And the reason why we used these aggressively was so that we could have energy for this encounter. So I think this is the lead battle, right? So outside of the boss fight, one would assume this is going to be our hardest encounter. I mean, that's not always the case, to be fair, but... Move a unit with the power equal or less than the amount. Ceiling a 10? Or up to a 10. You could have stolen something much better than that. Thankfully, you didn't. So, it's either Pit Fighter or it's Ulfheden. What are the numbers looking like? Oh. Okay, admittedly, I was not looking very closely at that before. We need to be more aggressive here. Yikes. That's actually terrifying. Yeah. We need to portal here. I'm not sure we have any other way to win this. That's not a portal. I almost clicked on that. Point Slam. Draw a card, move card back into our deck. No thanks. It's definitely Living Armor. Otherwise, deployability on you, even if we trigger a bunch of deployabilities, I mean, you don't have a deployability, you're not going to have time to get any bigger than a Living Armor. It's definitely you. And I think it's... Pit Fighter, and we wait to see if there's something bigger for Ulfheden to hit on our next turn. So we did save some of our biggest cards. That is true. And I think their last card usually is not that big because it's, again, the guy that I always forget the name of, but... we probably should still be hitting you. Yes, if we get through your armor and start actually damaging you, that is worth an extra point on Dogger, so I guess that technically does level out, assuming we can still hit you next turn with Rayla. And also, it could mean a better target for our Masterful Thunder, but I think we got a little carried away with the Thunders. Well, it's all we can do on this turn anyway. So what is this? Sheldon for damage, and a lot of it. Oh, huge overkill. They did destroy Rayla, but she had 1 power, and they had 7 damage on that. So that was a lot of overkill. They do have the lead here, but let's see. This should deal 8 damage with 2 armor. It's really going to be 6 functionally. Not a lot of base power on you, though. So I think we are still going to need to do something in addition to that. Hold on. Before we do, let's do it. Not great options. We're going to trigger that Thrive. We are. So you're a 6. You're also a 6 and armor, but that's probably not relevant. You're a 9 minus whatever card we'd have to destroy, which would be Panther. So you're also a 6. I guess 6 with armor is best in that case. Oh, and no, you're not really going to change how many Thrives we're going to trigger here. You were going to get boosted by 1... oh, no, I guess you weren't going to get boosted by Ulfhead. So, it's you hitting you. And, I mean, if we want to use this... At worst, it's hitting boat builders. We'll do it once. It does hit boat builders. Feels like it might just not ever hit the cards that can't get lowered, because I'm surprised. There have been several times where it could have hit this. Obviously, still a relatively low chance, but just over the course of several rounds. Seems a little bit odd. They might catch us here. It is definitely possible. Oh, I think we still have it. Unless, oh, but the Thrive, oh my goodness, we're tied! I think they win on a tie. They do. Oh my goodness. Our first tie ever. I think our first tie ever. Maybe once before? But yes, they did beat us. It was the Elite Battle. And, of course, questions as to, was there any way we could have gotten more points than that? Well, I mean, let's be honest. Many mistakes were made. Over the course of that run. Especially as we started approaching that boss battle. Skipping the place of power accidentally. Perhaps chief among them. But, yeah, I'm sure there must have been one way we could have gotten at least one more points. But alas, we have been defeated. I think we did level up once there, possibly twice. No, I think just once. So we got Naglfair's crew, we got Eredin, and we got Svanriga. So I think we've looked at them a little bit in previous runs, but Naglfair's crew spawns the Frost, which deals 2 damage to the highest unit every turn, gets boosted by 1 if there is weather effects in the opposite row. So bit of an engine, bit of damage, bit of a combination of those two. Eredin also Frost, but increases the damage of that Frost, so it's 3 damage per turn in that case. And then Svanriga gets boosted by 5 if there are at least 2 damage units on your opponent's side of the board. So it seems like it's, mostly weather effect stuff. And we're working toward Masterful Portal, create and play a 4 power copy of a unit in your deck. We talked about this as well. Consistency, and but also, since it's a copy of that card, not the original version of that card, you can actually get multiple rounds of the same type of card. So there is definitely some potential there for loading up on, it could even be your key card. So, definitely not our finest showing. Definitely not.
Let's try another formula. Maybe triangle within a triangle.
I mean, that is the name of the card, named after Alzer in multiplayer Gwent. But, definitely not one of our stronger showings there. Of course, I mean, we'd almost had a solid deck there. Felt like it was starting to take shape. But, as I said, let's be honest. With the types of mistakes we were making towards the end of the run, we just completely blew that one. That one we threw. Unintentionally, yes, but sloppily, for sure. And of course, especially given the margin there where we tied. 1 little point could have been all the difference there. Oh, and okay, well, here's the answer to how we would have won. If we didn't use as many procs of the Vial, because didn't we draw into some units that got weakened? I mean, technically, one of those cards that got weakened the most was Rayla, and then Rayla got destroyed from overkill damage that would have destroyed her anyway. even if she still had all of her base power, so even then, maybe not, but, you know, go back and research it up, but, you know, many little things, and at least one or two big things that went very wrong, especially toward the end of that run. But, well, maybe today just isn't our day, and I think that's, in large part, what's going to happen every once in a while when you're running the Chaos decks, right? Perhaps we had some luck before. I mean, it felt like the deck was, especially towards the end, as I was saying, not terrible by any means. But, you know, sometimes things are going to work out wonderfully for you. You're going to have a great deck and you can just coast through. I mean, that hasn't really happened to us yet. But other times, you know, it's going to be a bit of a struggle. And that's just what you're signing up for when you do the Chaos run. So, you know, I think we just, if we are interested in continuing to do that, then we can, of course, just always keep that in mind and know that sometimes it'll be better, sometimes it'll be worse, and hopefully we'll be playing a little bit better on those ones. But if we feel like perhaps Chaos is not for us any longer, then we could, of course, go back to using one of the pre-made decks, or one of the pre-made archetypes at least, with Bulwark for boost, Savage Fury for damage, or Hive Mind for Swarm. But I suppose that brings us back to the question of, I think we ought to wrap up here, but generally speaking, what are our thoughts on the current state of affairs for Rogue Mage? Do we want to continue to push forward here? I do think that the Chaos runs intrigue me more than the other runs do. To be brutally honest, I'm not that interested in doing more runs for the pre-made decks. They just feel a little bit too predictable and not that exciting, I guess. Because, I mean, the key cards, yes, you can make more of a point of building around them, true. But the starting cards from the deck are generally not that good. And so, yeah, I mean, there's a chance you happen to add more good cards along the way. But I do like how the Chaos runs give us some of those big cards right off the bat and give us more options in terms of what direction we could choose to go in with those decks. So, the question is, do we proceed with more Rogue Mage? And if so, what are we trying to do? Are we trying to do whatever we can to get these 2 additional mutagens and get the next round of the story progressed? Because that might even be the last part. I don't know definitively, but it might be. And maybe even move on to Grandmaster difficulty from there. Do we say, you know, maybe if it happens to work out that way, great, but we'd rather just focus on doing Chaos runs, rolling the dice, going crazy, and seeing what happens sometimes, you know? We'll have silly runs like that last one and finish tied with an elite enemy. Other times we might blow through all the enemies, scoring 1,000 points in every match, but that's, you know, we just go in with that understanding. Or we say, you know what, at this point, there's not really anything else remaining in the game that we feel like we have yet to try, and so it's pretty much a done deal at this point. Up to you guys. I'm up for doing really any of those things. Again, I would say that probably when it comes to if we are to play Rogue Mage further, I think I am probably more interested in playing Chaos decks than I am in playing the pre-made decks, even if the pre-made ones maybe give us a better chance of success, especially in the higher difficulty. I don't know. Again, I just feel like it's a little too same old for me and gets a little bit dull. But with that being said, I think this is a good place for us to wrap up here. Unfortunately, 2 unsuccessful runs, but Chaos runs, and so you never really know how much success you're going to have with them. And, you know, that last one was rough at the beginning, and it was starting to turn around, but, you know, we made some mistakes. And so at the end of the day, can't really blame anyone but myself for having that one, you know, not exactly go according to plan during that elite battle. But thank you all for watching. Hope you enjoyed.